This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Download our app and take us with you.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app.
You guys have got the best show on television.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
I am the host of this show.
Today's guests, actor Nick Turturro, sports agent Scott Boras, ESPN NBA insider Ramona Shelburne, co-host of ABC's Holey Moley, actor Rob Riggle. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
We're rolling into a Thursday here on the Rich Eisen Show. We say hello to our YouTube friends in the wormhole, the 454s. We say hello to all of you. Call us, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Don't just bark at T.J. Jefferson when he's missing putts to start the show. Just start typing in what you'd like to know, and we'd love to hear from you, essentially. Good to see you, Christopher Brockman.
Hey, buddy. What's happening?
Mike Del Tufo, good to see you. Good to see you. So, the return of sports. We're all on pins and needles. Sports as a whole. Yesterday, we were hearing the rumors, tremors, conversations out of Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. They're expecting a large part of the NBA to come their way. What about Major League Baseball? It's been a while since. It was 1 week ago that the commissioner of Major League Baseball went on CNN and talked about the loss of $4 billion if there's no playing season. And that was a couple days after Blake Snell said what he said on Twitch. And then the next day on Twitch, chit-chatting with people while he was viding, right? Gaming. Viding was my 80s. That was an 80s phrase right there. Sorry. At least that's what I called it when I was playing video games back in the 80s. That Bryce Harper chimed in as well, right?
While he was gaming.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we haven't heard anything.
Nope.
Scott Boras will be joining us at the top of our NBCSN show. He's going to be our first guest up on the NBCSN hour. Diehard baseball fan. Nick Turturro is going to be calling in about 18 minutes' time. Fans of NYPD Blue and so many other shows that he's been on and involved in, knows about Nick. He's a diehard baseball fan, and he wants to talk about his friend Shad Gaspard, the WWE star who died as he was caught in a riptide just off the coast here in Venice, California. His son was saved. His 10-year-old son was saved, but Shad was not. And Nick's a friend of his, and he texted me, he said, hey, I just want to talk about him. You mind if I call in? Nope. Go for it. So Nick will be calling in. Ramona Shelburne will call in to talk about the return of the NBA and also her chat with, she had the exit interview with Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Bulls, who called the end of The Last Dance, quote unquote, maddening. And I don't think he was talking about gaming either. Maddening because Jordan basically sitting there with his cigar and his tequila and maybe Ahmad Rashad off camera in his house there. Jordan saying, I'd have returned one more time, and I think I could have gotten everybody to run it back. Scotty would have needed some convincing, but I had to run it back, and I think Reinsdorf was sitting at home and spit out whatever tequila he was having. And then Rob Riggle joining us.
All right.
Holey Moley.
Holey
Moley with Tess returning to ABC Season 2 tonight. Are you really going to gamble on Holey Moley?
Look, if anyone wants to make me prop bets on Holey Moley, shoot me a DM at Chris Brockman.
Okay. This is Steph Curry's show, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks very fun.
Putt up or shut up. There's Rob. That is a frightening, frightening promotional photograph of him being basically the miniature golf hole, like the windmill.
Yeah. Like Tess with the no-look putt there.
Tess with the no-look putt. Okay, so Rob Riggle is going to be joining us at the very end of the show for a little laugh. But in terms of the return of sports and what we're looking for, obviously to get lost in it, right? We just want to return to sports so we can get lost in sports and we can get lost in the minutia of sports, right? Didn't we talk about the other day, like we can't wait for people, sports to return so we could complain about a pitch that's outside called a strike,
exactly.
Or we could complain about that wasn't a hold.
Right,
or
the silly
basically
stuff
say, wait a minute. replay in the NBA extends the game and gives another team a timeout, and other teams are using that to their advantage. Like those sorts of moments for us to get lost in, right?
Totally.
And the way for us to get lost in all of that also would be if there's safety. We can't think that the people who are competing are getting sick as we're watching it, or that the people that are competing are staying safe and healthy because they're getting the testing that we and the rest of the country can't. And that seems to be an improving situation. The reason why I bring all this up is that it does appear that NASCAR is doing it right, because Kyle Busch spinning Chase Elliott out at the end of the Toyota 500, it's gotten people all sorts of pissed off in a manner that feels like it's sports. Right? Kyle Busch should know better. He's a veteran. He did that on purpose. Well, even though he's a veteran, these things can happen.
Right.
Misjudging the gap can happen to anybody.
Ooh, that's a good fantasy name.
Misjudging the gap. That's the NASCAR way of saying watch your step when you're leaving the English tube. I don't know where the hell that came from, people. I'm sorry. There you go. You know? Did Kyle Busch do it on purpose?
Right.
He's done it before. He's just did it again. And then I guess we can't show this for various reasons. But most importantly, it's not safe for work. Chase Elliott, I guess Kyle Busch was driving the one car. Out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere, yeah. I thought he was the 18 car, Kyle Busch.
Well, I guess he lost the 8.
Lost the 8.
Right. Now, this is what we're talking about. Now, I say this with all due respect to Chase Elliott, who we had on a couple weeks ago in advance of the race in Darlington, the first. Right? And this is what we're talking about? That was a real sports controversial headline on a sports headline stack, and also trending on Twitter.
Yep.
And the video of Chase Elliott standing at attention and letting a bird fly as Kyle Busch was coming around and Elliott was in position to win. This is what we're talking about.
Man, Chase Elliott went full 180 rotation.
Have you not seen that?
I hadn't seen it. I'm just looking at it right now. It's amazing.
It's glorious, yes. Just in case Kyle didn't see it as he was moving around.
Just let it go the whole way.
Let it go. He did rotate.
This is awesome. Are we back? Are we half
No, for this moment, just for this moment, right? Just for this moment in time, just for this split second. Yeah. We're not sitting here saying, well, what happened with pit row? Were they all safe? Were they all masked up? Were they social distancing? Were they doing it right? Are they testing it? Who's sick? Who's not? No. For a second, we're like, Kyle Busch, did he purposefully spin out Chase Elliott, who had a chance to win this race? Is it purposeful? And then, of course, Kyle Busch apologizing. And was that actually, this is good old-fashioned NASCAR.
Sure is.
It a legit apology?
Right.
Is this for real? Is this man a heel? And this man's fan base is going to come around and rally around Kyle Busch. And then Chase Elliott's fans are going to tell Kyle Busch, you stink. And everybody else who hates Kyle Busch is going to tell him he stinks. And this is sports. Kudos to NASCAR. They did it. They got us talking NASCAR on this show. We've got fans tweeting about it as if it is, 2000, not 2020, as if it was 2019, as if it was 2018. For a second, you up until, Kyle Busch talking afterwards with a mask on his face, like you forget that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and that's what we want out of our sports. So I say that's great. You know what I'm saying?
NASCAR's had a good week between Sunday and last night.
Let's see. And again, I don't mean to be the parent in the room, but let's see how everybody feels. Let's see how this works as they move on to Charlotte. And then they move on deeper into June because they extended their schedule for 3 more weeks. Then you've got the PGA Tour. Did you see Adam Scott saying he's not going to return to the tour when the tour returns in June? Did you see that, Chris Brockman?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Because he heard about the testing and he heard about how the PGA Tour is going to have 24 to 48 hours of a lag time between test and between finding out what you have. And he thinks that means somebody who's asymptomatic or somebody who may have symptoms and they don't know if it's COVID or not. He could be exposed to that person, and he's not coming out of Australia until he sees what he's going to see how it plays out.
Yeah, he's going to sit out the first 7 events.
There you go. And then he'll show up for a 9-week stint in the U.S. if, again, everything works out for the PGA Tour to see, to go, I guess, from the FedEx event in, I guess, in, what would that be? That would be in Nashville, and then all the way through to the U.S. Open. That's been moved.
Yep.
To San Francisco.
Yeah, he's looking at returning for the FedEx St. Jude Invitation.
There you go. So he's going to see how it goes. Return of sports. We can't get enough of it. And baseball, what's going on with you people? Awful quiet. Twitch has been quiet. All the reporters have been quiet. Commissioner spoke 1 week ago on CNN. What's going on? You know who would know that? Scott Boras.
He knows everything.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
He knows what I'm thinking right now.
He sure does.
It's freaking me out.
Yeah, it's weird.
He knows exactly what's going on in my head. You know, he knows what I'm going to think in a minute from now. How the hell does he do that? Freaks me out.
He's everywhere.
He is. Man, oh man, do we need the return of baseball too? What an opportunity it is. I just led a show with NASCAR for the first time in 5.5 years. Could you imagine we could get caught in the nonsense of shifts and all the stuff that I rail on this show? You know?
Oh, man. Speaking of the nonsense, Field Yates just tweeted, I miss people live tweeting OTAs.
Oh.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
dropped the ball.
Like
Hey,
the quarterback went 10 of 11 in OTAs. He looks good.
That has
Cut
been,
him.
that has been something that this show has been about.
Oh, I love those.
Sam Darnold just missed his first 7 attempts.
Fuck, get rid of him. Get rid of him.
The
Cut him.
Jets season is over.
It's over. Until he gets mono.
The Jets season is over. The Raiders season, Derek Carr just airmailed the new rookie in practice 3 straight times. He can't connect with Henry Ruggs. Better yet, Jeff Okudah just dropped the ball.
Just got beat deep.
Just got beat deep.
Yeah.
He stinks. Lion season over.
Tua 0 for his first 6.
We do miss that, don't we?
I do miss
Good
it.
job,
Yeah.
Field Yates.
Yeah,
We do miss
that's
it.
very funny.
You miss it. You don't know you don't know what you have until you miss it.
It's true. Except my ex-wife.
Mike, you know what else I love? Speaking of things that are petty,
Wow.
you never missing an opportunity to jab your ex-wife.
Can I ask a question? Do you mind? I'm gonna use this real estate right now.
Rich, go.
Where is your ex-wife right now? Do you know?
I think she lives in the valley.
So she's local.
Oh, yeah, she's local.
When was the last time you saw your ex-wife?
Have you ever accidentally bumped into her somewhere?
The week that my father passed away in 2005.
She reached out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's nice.
Well, she didn't reach out. She came and needed money. Swear to God, that's a God's honest truth. I'm not lying. She needed me to lend her money.
Okay,
I'm
now
sorry. I'm sorry.
We're gonna go to a dark
know
place.
what you have until you have it sometimes, too.
We're gonna go to a dark place here. So let's just.
Can I borrow money?
Let's
Sorry
skate.
for your
All right, Mike.
father
No,
died.
Mike,
Let's
we're done.
skate.
We're done. I'm sorry I brought it up.
I'm sorry. Okay. Just ruined my whole day now.
Oh, God. Meanwhile, the Masked Singer, my children had no idea who won. That way we could see that one coming. Don't worry, I won't spoil it.
Thank you.
No, I've gotten people saying that they DVR it and a day later. Now I guess we could talk about The Voice. You don't watch The Voice, do you?
I know my mom is a big Voice fan.
Beautiful show,
my
and
mom's
I could not be more happy as to who won it. Todd Tillman won it. I voted for him. You know, he was
So you're voting. You're involved.
dude. Yes,
Okay.
and and that surprises you, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Because I'm not. I normally don't do that
Well,
sort
you
of thing.
don't strike me as a go to the cell phone, dial the
I
5-digit
downloaded the
number,
app.
and
I have the app on my phone and everything.
so wow, you are all in.
Well, my kids did. It was a great There's so many different family.
Yeah, of course.
There's not many ways for families to get around a television set. my oldest is addicted to his iPad now that we're all, remote learning and everything like that.
Yeah.
So for all of us to basically get around and be around and do it, it's just a beautiful show. I couldn't have been happier for that guy. Great story, too. I'll say it. I don't care. He's a pastor in Mississippi.
Oh, how about that?
He had no professional singing to his credit at all. Wasn't a recorder. He sang in his church. His wife, they have 8 children, some of them adopted, some of them biological, but a family of 8.
Wow.
And his wife says, you have a great voice. Go stand in line for hours, I guess, in Atlanta.
And he went, and now he won.
He's now won The Voice. I get goosebumps just talking about
cool.
it.
That's cool.
And he sounds like Bob Seger. Amazing.
Really?
Yes. That was his first song. Wow, God.
Not Hollywood Nights.
No, You Got Tonight.
You
Who
Got
Needs
Tonight? Yeah.
That was my.
I think that's what it was.
Who
He
needs
sang a Bob Seger
Let's
song,
make it last.
and all 4
he's a
chairs
lot.
turned, just like on the spot. Guy's amazing. Total inspiration. Amazing. We need that sort of stuff, man. What else you want to talk about today? It's the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So what's more surprising for you, Chris?
Oh, Donna's a good poll question idea.
Hold on a
too.
second.
Go ahead.
What's more surprising to you? That I downloaded an app for a television show and voted like
I am pretty shocked at that,
like
yeah.
I don't work in television and I get into that I'm not a
I mean, we work in TV. We know how all this stuff works. We're
Right,
a little
right.
jaded in terms of some of these
right.
things.
We know what previously recorded at the bottom of the screen is for the West Coast viewers, and my children don't understand
Right,
why
like,
there's
what
no
does that
voting.
mean?
And I'm
Well,
like,
yeah,
okay,
right.
like, yeah. But I'm like, we're in it. I'm in it. More surprising that, or I never saw The Sandlot.
It's definitely The Sandlot. I mean, the other thing you're talking about, it's a family show. It's an event at your house each week. I totally understand and get that. But not seeing The Sandlot, it's just like, that's kind of more egregious than you not seeing Point Break or Roadhouse.
And I knew that, but I
end.
shared it because I shared it.
The great Hambino.
Also, we had Patrick Renna here from The Sandlot when there was the 25th anniversary
That's
of The
right.
Sandlot.
You faked that entire.
I didn't fake it, Mike.
Mike, wow. Just come through the front door.
Fake it. I didn't fake it,
You didn't let us.
but I didn't let you guys know I've never seen it. I understand what a significant milestone it is for a movie. I also didn't want to say to the guy, I've never seen this. Welcome to the show.
Sure.
So I didn't reveal it.
You didn't reveal it.
And I did kind of get my way through it. I didn't fake, hey,
No,
man.
I know. I know.
Loved
That.
your-
Yeah, I know
loved-
you didn't say anything.
I don't know. I don't think I said I love your movie. I might have said I know that people, or, it was great. I just didn't share with you people.
Great Hambino. Like,
I
you guys
mean,
even get that reference.
Hercules.
I haven't seen
You're
it.
killing me
No,
small.
I know
So,
there's
like,
a dog
when you hear
involved. I know
people
there's a
say-
dog. I know there's a dog.
big-
When you
I mean,
have
I
heard
know
people
about
in
it.
life say you're killing me small,
I know what that is. I don't know.
you-
I don't know the circumstances of it.
Smalls
Correct.
was the guy's nickname.
No, I know that.
Okay.
I'm aware of it. I'm not in the dark, but I haven't seen it. In terms of sports movies, people put that top 5, right?
Oh, easy.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. If you're a kid and you love baseball, it becomes one of your favorite movies.
Sports, non-sports movies like Rocky,
it's great.
Field of Dreams. That
Like Dennis Leary's in that movie. Wendy Peppercorn. Like,
What do you mean by sports,
I
non-sports?
call those sports not movie. Like, 'cause
Well,
the
Rocky is a love story.
And the Field of Dreams is, I
yeah,
believe,
that's
the father,
more
son.
about like
Yeah.
kids and
Yeah,
growing
it's more about
up.
Right,
kids
like
and
you
growing up.
can't call
and like brotherhood.
You can't call Raging Bull a sports movie.
Exactly. It's a sports, non-sports movie.
It's a
Sports
Scorsese
is kind
movie.
of the background
It's a background.
to it. Yeah.
And you say Field of Dreams is that?
100%.
So Field of Dreams is about what?
The father-son relationship.
Well,
I-
every sports movie is about a father-son
Well,
relationship. Hoosiers is about a father-son
Right.
relationship. Okay.
And,
Hoosiers is
and
about
redemption. Hoosiers is also about a redemption.
Hoosiers
Right.
is actually in that category too.
Hoosiers is a
'Cause
sports
it's-
movie. No,
then-
Hoosiers is a flat-out sports
You call
movie.
that a full?
Well, what do you call a sports movie then? If you don't call Hoosiers a sports movie, you know what? It's another non-sports movie, Rudy, because that's pure fantasy. That's like up there with Game of Thrones, right? Without the dragon,
I knew we were going to
right? It's just not
I brought
medieval
Rich
times.
into
It's
that
just
hole.
pure fantasy, right?
That is totally a sports, non-sports movie, though.
Wow.
That's another one.
Rudy, it's about
the kid becoming.
It might as well have been called Puff Rudy the Magic Dragon.
Okay. Rudy was a real guy. It wasn't made up by George R.R. Martin.
Rudy the Magic
Never.
Dragon. I'm done.
The phrase at the beginning of a sports movie. Okay, the phrase "based on a true story." Never before has the word "based" done more heavy lifting.
Rich, I love this.
Never before.
Okay.
It's not so, like you see that at the beginning of Hoosiers, you just see it says based on a true story. At the beginning of Rudy, it's based on a true story.
Is it just because it's about what if Rudy had gone to Michigan?
Yes.
Would this be your favorite movie of all
It
time?
would be. Rich would have a Rudy poster at his house.
100%, right?
Yeah. The
Has to be. Okay, look, we got two great ideas for polls today. We'll throw them both up since we're going to talk movies for a second day here. It's the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back release. It's also Mr. T's birthday today. So we got two good ones off of that. We can go best movie sequel, Empire Strikes Back, Godfather 2, Dark Knight, Terminator 2. That's my list.
Okay.
Non-negotiable. Or best villain in a sports movie.
Oh,
Villain in a sports movie.
where does it? So
We got Mr. T as Clubber Lang in Rocky 3. Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. Dolph
Another good
Lundgren,
one.
of course. We can go Cobra Kai in general, or Johnny Lawrence,
The whole group.
the Karate Kid, or
Sweep
this
the
is
leg.
actually
Karate Kid a sports movie?
That's
Now,
your
sports, non-sports.
non-sports movie. Yep.
and this was actually on last night. Watched it. Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore.
Oh,
That's actually perfect.
is Happy Gilmore a sports movie?
Sports, non-sports movie.
100%.
You would really call Happy Gilmore a sports movie?
No, you
What
wouldn't.
else?
You can't call that's a sports.
That's a
What do you mean? He's
No,
playing golf
no. That's
the
called a
whole time.
Sandler movie.
Okay.
That's called a Sandler movie.
He's playing golf the whole movie.
Caddyshack is not a sports movie. That's the same thing. There you go.
Would you call Caddyshack a sports movie? I wouldn't either.
They're
What
playing
would
golf.
you call it?
A comedy.
Yeah, but it's a comedy
It's
in encompassing sports. A
They're at
sports
the golf
comedy.
course 90% of the show.
Yeah, they're at the golf course most of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, so we can throw
Would you really call, seriously, would you really call
Caddyshack a sports movie?
Caddyshack a sports movie? Your favorite sports movie, you'd consider Caddyshack in it.
I consider Caddyshack one of my favorite movies.
I know that, but it's not
Comedy.
a sports
That's a
movie.
comedy.
Like Slapstick is a sports movie.
here's another example. Animal House is not a college movie.
Is Major League a
It's a
baseball
comedy.
movie? A sports movie?
No, yes, of course it is.
They're-
Major League is a
But
sports
they're
movie.
playing baseball about the same amount of time as they're
Bull
playing
Durham,
golf.
Bull Durham is a sports movie. Yes. Caddyshack's not a sports movie. It isn't. Nick Turturro understands. Is Nick on the phone line right now?
Yeah, great point by Don here. You can't. There's no movie Caddyshack
Yeah.
without the golf.
I understand.
Without the sports.
Is Nick Turturro on the phone
Yeah,
right
he's
now?
on.
Our friend, or the actor, Nick
morning.
Turturro.
How are you?
Nick,
How are you?
Nick, we're already starting this thing off. Sports movies. How would you? What we're saying? Would you say Caddyshack is a sports movie, Nick?
Caddyshack is not a sports movie, no.
Okay, Slapstick, is that a sports movie?
You mean Slapshot?
Slapshot. Yeah, sorry, Slapshot, not Slapsticks. Yeah, Slapshot. Is that a sports movie?
Slapshot's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a sports
Yeah, it's
movie,
about
right?
hockey. Yeah, it's a sports movie.
Right.
Yeah.
See what I'm
No.
saying? Yes, Slapshot is.
Slapshot is not about that's a comedy that's got hockey in it.
Oh my gosh.
Miracle on Ice is a
you're
sports
wrong.
movie.
You're wrong. It's a dark comedy, but it's about hockey.
Right.
And it's about hockey in the 70s, which was very edgy.
It's a very. I think it's a sports.
Nick's got a-
So that's what I'm saying is that Caddyshack
point
is not
there.
a sports movie. Slapshot is a sports movie.
More of a sports movie.
Absolutely. What are you chiming in over there? You disagree with this conversation?
I mean, I just think without golf, there's no movie Caddyshack. It's
Exactly.
You know what I
First
mean?
of all, golf is really not even a sport.
I knew Nick was
There we
gonna
go.
there.
Nick Turturro has shown up, everybody.
No. I mean, it's really not a sport. It's a game.
Come on.
You know, if you want to get technical, I mean, I enjoy it. They consider it sports, but it's more of a game because you don't have to be a great athlete to play that game.
So athletics and being able to so if you could play so let me phrase this the proper way. So if you are playing in a competition as an overweight individual, that means you're not playing in a sport. You're playing in a game. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that you don't have to be a great athlete. You could be a fat guy and be a good athlete, but what I'm saying is that's really not a true test of being a great athlete. Because you could play pool doesn't mean you. I have a friend who played pool, but he wasn't a good athlete. He played pool. But it's a game. It's not really a sport. You don't got to run. You don't got to jump. You don't got to catch. You got a skill, right? You can hit that ball. You got a skill with that iron. It doesn't make you a great athlete. That's why it's deceiving when they call it, the great. You can't consider golf a real true sport.
What about racing? What about automobile racing? What about NASCAR? What do you think about that, Nick?
That's another one that kind of baffles me because it is a skill. Now, I don't know how you consider it sports, but it is a skill.
Okay.
But I don't look at I don't know, NASCAR is it's a select thing. I don't know. I don't quite put it in like, watching sports.
Okay, so Days of Thunder is a skill movie.
Yeah. That's the Nick Turturro. That's my category. That's the way I look at it.
Fantastic.
I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, too. How's life for you, Nick?
Yeah.
You good? Everything good in your neck of the woods? Your family?
Yeah, life is okay. It's a weird time. And I'm surviving this thing. I think a lot of us are, but it's bizarre. It's like the Twilight Zone.
You must miss. You must be missing baseball like crazy too right now, I imagine.
Oh, I've caught up on a lot of old games, reminiscing, thinking about. It makes you think about life a lot this time, because it's like we take everything for granted. We take, and now this kind of smacks you in the face and you go, what is this? What is the new normal? What does that mean? And so now I get up and I put on an old game, and it brings me back, and I'm thinking a lot about my life because I reminisce a lot. My brother's like, you always reminisce, Nick. You reminisce. So now I got a time to reminisce. Like today I turned on the MLB Network, and there it was, 2003, Game 3, the Pedro Martinez, Roger Clemens game. I was at that game, great game. So he brings back a lot of great games for me that I was at, that I watched as a kid. But I'm missing it, yeah. I'd like it to come back, but I don't know how you play sports without fans. Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't really get that.
I hear you, Nick. You better get used to it. That's the one thing. That's the one thing you better get used to because the number of people that keep asking me, is sports going to come back or are leagues going to come back, or is that going to happen? And my answer is, I think so, yes. And then the answer is with fans, and I'm like, that you could pretty much say for the moment 100% is not happening, So.
Yeah. No, I understand, and I accept it. I watched a UFC fight a few weeks ago. It was Tony Ferguson and Gaethje, and it was weird. Nobody in the crowd, no audience. I enjoyed it, but it was weird. So I guess you're going to have to somehow train your head to I had an idea, maybe if they had, maybe one fan at a stadium, I could represent, the Yankee game. Maybe I could represent Yankee fans with, a bunch of cutouts. You could put one guy in there in the middle just for some energy,
Yes.
But they probably wouldn't go for it,
Well, Nick, you could have to be careful because certainly you'd be able to, be heard. You know what I mean? Easier than before. So you definitely... The way that your Twitter account normally would work during a Yankee game, I think you'd have to be very careful during an actual game if you're the only fan in the stands.
Yeah, but I could control. I could curb it a little bit. I don't have to really I could just be a cheerleader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could be the tenth man.
The 10th.
If you put me in the dugout or something. If I was in the Yankee dugout, I think I could actually inspire them, and I could. I don't have to be crude.
Right.
I don't have to offend anybody.
You don't have to
everybody's offended. The whole world is offended by having a point of view today. You're a little harsh. I'm like, I'm not that harsh. It's real.
You are very real.
I just tell it like it is. That's what I love about hearing these old broadcasts. They're great because you hear all these, guys were normal. They were natural. They were organic. And Bill White, he was asking Thurman Munson when they won the World Series, you think you want to be a Yankee next year? And I'm like, Bill, why are you asking Thurman that?
So you're seeing old Yankee games like that? That's sort of I'd pay to see that, man.
the Reggie game. And then Bill White was asking, it's weird. Like, you saw Billy Martin after they won the championship, and he looks depressed. Not depressed, but he looks like relieved. I don't know, like he was so stressed out from that year. It wasn't like today they're wearing goggles and it's all kind of manufactured. Guys were like more normal back then. It was a different time.
Oh, sure. I mean, you're seeing in The Last Dance, Jordan looked totally spent after winning a championship. He wins
exactly.
He wins 3 in a row, and first one was joy, second one was overjoy, third one was relief.
Right.
You seeing that?
I just started watching. I got about 4 in, and it's so good. It kind of brings you back to the NBA before the Bulls conquered. You had the Lakers, the Celtics, then the bad boy Pistons, the thugs that they were. And then the whole Jordan thing, you kind of felt, you felt at the beginning, you felt like happy for Jordan when he finally broke through and they beat those bullies and then they swept the Lakers. And then, I didn't even realize the triangle came from this guy named Tex. Guy named, of all people, Tex, created the trend. And then what do you call ran with it? Phil Jackson. You got to remember, Phil Jackson was bohemian, kind of a real hippie guy, but smart. Played under Ren Holtzman. And he played on those smart Knick teams, so he was always like a guy ahead of his time.
Hey, man, you kind of hit on something. Nick Turturro here on the Rich Eisen Show. You kind of hit on something here, Nick, that, for Knicks fans to see a guy from the Red Holtzman, Walt Clyde Frazier, Bill Bradley, Dave DeBusschere era coaching Michael Jordan, ripping out the Knicks' best chances to win a championship since the Red Holtzman years, heart, and show it to him pumping. That was awful tough for me to handle as it was happening, and then reliving it. You're going to see in upcoming episodes, man. It's tough. Charles Smith still trying to make a layup. The number of times that the Knicks almost had this team and could not. Jordan returning from his hiatus, dropping 55 in the Garden within a week. I mean, that sort of stuff is tough to relive, Nick. So beware.
It is. But then again, you got to kind of embrace what the Knicks were then in the 90s. The Knicks were very entertaining. They were a very likable, lunch pail team. And unfortunately, they were facing Michael Jordan, who was a different animal. And Knicks fans, including myself, were frustrated watching him because he became a different animal. And he was a stone blood cold killer, and something you'll never see again. I mean, the closest probably was Kobe. I mean, LeBron is not that, so he's just not that guy. This guy, his drive, what he, I mean, it wasn't even all talent. That's what this thing kind of shows you, that he had the talent, but the guy was a killer on so many levels. It's an interesting show. It really is, because it, there was you don't realize that was a real deep kind of time, I mean, it was basketball was everything was more interesting. Had edge. Today that's the problem. We don't have any, everything's watered down today. Everything's nice. Everybody's hugging and kissing. I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like, I'm glad that I was showing my son last night. He was like, wow. I said, you see that? You don't know. Other things happened before you existed,
Way to pass it down, Nick. It's Nick Turturro here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, I want to give you the floor on what you texted me about. You texted me last night. You're like, hey, I lost a friend. And a lot of people know who this friend is, the former WWE star. May he rest in peace, Shad Gaspard. I give you the floor on how you got to know him and what you'd like to say about him, Nick.
Yeah, I just he's a guy that really became a friend, who really kind of touched me as a person, a great spirit. I met him at the Wild Card West Gym, which is now the Churchill Gym. Pete Berg owns it, and also my friend Mark Kriegel kind of brought me down there. My son learned how to box there, and I first met Shad Gaspard there. He's kind of a bigger-than-life guy, didn't really know him. And little by little, we became friends. He was kind of a big dreamer, a guy that had, wanted always to make everybody smile. And he was more than just a big, guy. He was talented. He was smart. He was a good actor. He was in comedies. He was developing a wrestling pilot that I did a reading for him. More recently, a couple of months back, I did a reading of little pilot that I'm developing called Band of Idiots. He came over, read a role for me. He was that kind of guy. And then, he sacrificed his life to his son on Sunday. I guess got caught in a riptide. And they told the lifeguard to take his son first. And, then they grabbed his son. He pushed his son. He lived for his kid. He not only was a great guy and a good friend, but he was a great dad. And then the riptide hit him, and in a matter of seconds, I had an experience at 17 in Long Beach, Long Island. I could barely swim. Got caught in an undertow, and lifeguards, luck, I wouldn't be here. But for him, to go down like that, he was just not, he just thought of other people first. And you imagine, you're confronted with that. Most people might panic and say, hey, help, help, help. Hey, he had the sense to say, save my son. And, now he's not here. And it's just the whole situation. But he was just a beautiful guy. And then you just question, what this life is about. I don't know. And I just feel heartbroken about him, and his son. I tell you, it really hit me hard, hit my son hard. And, we're only passing through, man. But he was a guy that passed through my life and became a friend. He was on my podcast. He turned me upside down to cure my vertigo one day. Picked me up he's a mountain of a man. And I just can't put my arms around that like he's gone. I was watching the videos last night I had of him. So I just wanted to pay tribute to him. I know a lot of people are. The Rock, even Dwayne Johnson said, it's a hard thing to understand or accept right now because he was kind of bigger than life. And you feel like people like that are invincible. You look at people like that. I looked at my father like that, and maybe you didn't. I know recently you lost your dad.
Yes.
So, but no, I just really, it got me, and it got me down about, just like why. Why you question things like, I don't know about this, it's your time, it's this, it's that. I don't know if I just think this life is what it is, and it's, you pass through, it's a gift to be here, and you just don't know.
Well,
and
when you want to,
I don't know.
Yeah, I know when you think of people like that, I guess one way to help get through the questions of why is remembering the good times, right? And remembering, things of like him thwarting an armed robbery in 2016 in Florida, and doing the things that delighted people as well as living life the way that he did. What do you mean he picked you up to relieve you of vertigo, Nick?
It's a funny story. I'll tell you what happened.
Uh-huh.
I had vertigo one time, which was terrible. If you ever had it, it's awful. You're nauseous, you're dizzy, and I had it for like a week. And went to a doctor one time, and he goes, "Oh, you got vertigo?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I can help you." He was a head doctor, and he's laying at the end of it, laying on the table, and he turned me over, and he goes, "Just close your eyes, and there's a way to do it. Like, where you turn the guy over on a table for like 30 seconds, 40, and it's these little particles or something that they can kind of go back in your head." I mean, I don't understand it. I'm not a head doctor,
right,
but it helped. And you got to close your eyes. And so we were shooting this thing, School for Boys, this little spec pilot over here at Crespi in Encino, and he was playing a teacher, and we had some funny scenes together. So I was getting a touch of it, and I go outside Crespi, and then Shad is out there with me, and they said, "Hey, Shad, I'm going to lay on a table. Turn me over," because he's a big guy. I said, "Turn me over, and maybe you could cure this vertigo is coming on." So he goes, "No, come here. He put his hands between my crotch, picked me up. I didn't expect it. I go, if you filmed it, it would have been fantastic. People would have been dying laughing. He picked me up between my crotch, like a twig. Just imagine, and turned me over like in a sudden movement, upside down in such a, vulnerable position. You had to see it. He turned me so quick, and then I was like, whoa, my whole head went, got raked, and I was like, he cured me. It was coming on. I said, well, whatever you did, Shad, you turned me quickly, violently. It was a violent move, but a beautiful move. And we tried to recreate it on the podcast one time, but it wasn't half as funny. He's a very funny guy. Very funny guy. He was always talking about how big he was, and it was hilarious because I'd be like, "I know you're big. You don't got to keep telling me how big you are." You know, I'd love to like feel him and touch him. You know, I like big guys. You know, I like to. You know, I'm not fruity that way. You know, funny that way. Whatever. But I got to get a kick out of like squeezing him and stuff. Come here. You big, a big lug, and but heart of gold. A deep thinker, smart guy. And like I say, he was developing this terrific wrestling pilot. I'm glad that you gave me a chance to at least just to pay a little tribute to my friend, because I know it's a hard time for his family. And we all got to try to be there for his wife and his son, who I can't imagine.
I can't imagine either.
I can't imagine what he's going through.
10 years old.
And I'm just
10 years old.
Yeah, I know. It's just, this life, who can explain it? I don't know how you got here. I don't know how I got here. But we got here somehow. We had parents, how they got here. You think about it and you go like, wow. And then, one day it's going to go on without me, And like you think like, the whole world is about, But this is a guy that loved people, that thought about people. And like you say, he stopped the robbery. He helped friends. He cured my vertigo. Whatever. He made you laugh. He was always happy. He was always up. And I'm like, I wish I could be more like that, and have that kind of courage. He really did. I mean, he was that guy that had that. I mean, I think there are special people in life that have certain gifts, They touch you in a way that you go, that guy, wow. I wish I could be more like that guy. So it's tough. Every time I think about him, I get like, I'm like, oh man, this doesn't feel real.
No, I know,
but,
and that's
what is
I know,
real,
I know exactly.
What is really real?
I know, Nick, and it's in these times obviously make you wonder what is. But I know when you reached out and you're like, hey, would you want to say some words about him? I'm like, why don't you, and you do it, and you did a great job, Nick. And I appreciate you.
I mean, this is not my forte. I'm not somebody that gets up there and gets speeches about people.
No, I know.
I mean, I can talk. You want to talk about baseball and movies, I could talk to the morning. You know what I mean? I could talk to the sunrise.
Right.
But when it comes to like, being, eloquent or being, very, cohesive with my words, I probably would call on somebody like my brother, who's more of a brain person.
Right. Right.
I got a brain, but it works in a different way.
By the way, you're going to see. You're going to see some "Do the Right Things" stuff coming up very soon on the Last Dance too. You'll see some of the stuff. Speaking of your brother.
Oh wow, I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Do they touch on the baseball stuff too? And they play baseball and all that?
Oh, big time. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll see that. You'll see him at the Birmingham Barons.
I'm a little behind you guys, but I'm into it.
You got it. Hey Nick, you take care of yourself. Be well, you and your family.
Thank you, Rich.
We'll catch up.
You guys are the best.
Right back at you.
I love you guys.
Breaking Bread with Nick Turturro is his podcast, and we'll get Nick back on when baseball gets back on. In the meantime, should we bring up with Scott Boras the idea that he will volunteer to be the one fan, that baseball should have one fan in the stands? Marlin Man is rich enough to be that one fan for 40 different teams. Right? He'll just wear his Marlin shirt.
He's really going to stand out now.
Well, he'll have to be socially distant with his usual +1 that you see with him behind.
+3 sometimes.
Hey now, everybody.
Hey now. That guy.
All right, what were you cooking up over there? I saw you were cooking something
okay,
up
so
over there.
we came to a conclusion on our 4 nominees here for best sports movie villain. Okay, so it's Mr. T's 68th birthday. He's not going to make the list, however. We didn't want multiple.
He's the inspiration. Oh, you don't want multiple Rockies.
We don't want multiple Rockies.
And nobody's more of a villain than Drago.
Exactly.
Right?
So Drago,
especially since if you don't mind me extrapolating out here.
Sure.
The first villain wound up becoming his best friend.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Apollo Creed was the first Rocky villain there was.
Yes.
Okay.
And we all know, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen Rocky 4 yet, Drago kills Apollo.
Oh, my God.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Well, I guess they did a whole movie called Creed.
Right.
That was very popular.
Very popular.
About Apollo's son.
They even made you've seen Rocky 4, right?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I think I have to ask you now.
I mean, we have to make sure.
Excuse
Rich.
me. I understand that you feel my admission is something that requires your derision. I understand this.
I just have to
I
check.
understand this, but don't forget, if you want to go toe-to-toe on movie blind spots,
Sure.
this would be a first-round knockout. This would be like Tyson in his heyday. This would
Rich,
be
it
like
depends
Conor
who are the
McGregor
judges.
submitting somebody.
It depends who the judges are.
you're in
Pees
Vegas or
down
New
his
Jersey.
leg upon seeing McGregor enter the cage.
It depends who the judges
would
are.
be.
Depends
If you're
who
in
the judges
AC,
are.
though, he's right. If you're in Vegas,
Here's the deal. Do you think
Depends.
What?
Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you consider it one of the best,
Of
right?
course I do.
Something can't be one of the best if it's 80 years old.
That's so absurd. It's
His
ridiculous.
generation's
One
not
day,
into that, though.
Shawshank Redemption will be 80 years old, and somebody will
Great.
sit here.
And I'm sure there'll be some better movie that's come along in the last 80 years, okay?
And Cooper or Xander or Cooper or Taylor will be on the Xander Cooper Taylor Eisen show looking at Cage Brockman and telling Cage he's a moron.
Okay, look, here's
In
the
the
deal.
same way,
Here's the deal.
I'm doing this to Cage's daddy right now.
Listen, if you run down the AFI Top 100 list, there's one movie in the 1990s
It's
in
nuts.
the top 65.
It's crazy.
Okay?
So-
things that are 100 years old can't be the greatest ever, okay? I'm sorry.
excuse me.
Technology and evolution advance things, okay?
Some Beatles music, some Beatles songs are some of the greatest pieces of music.
the White Album is known to be one of the greatest albums of all time.
The White Album is how many years old now? Is it
Apples
50
to
years old
oranges
now?
here, boys. We're talking about movies.
Is it 50
Yeah,
years old now?
music's very similar to movies.
Music is
I
the same.
think.
You have a guitar, you sing your songs, okay? We're talking about movie making. Advances in movie making and technology.
What else?
Something in 1941 can't be the greatest ever. I'm sorry.
Why are you saying such a thing?
Because it's fact.
Have you seen Citizen Kane?
No, and I never will. I don't care about Rosebud and whatever the sled and any of that crap.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
Don't care.
Careful.
Spoiler alert.
Careful.
Spoiling an 80-year-old movie?
There might be someone out there that has
Well,
okay.
it's a lot like this person.
Yeah. And it's just,
Best sports movie villain. Let's back on
Hold on
top.
a second. Hold on a second. Well done. Look at TJ in the back.
TJ is
That's fantastic. Whoever did that is amazing.
Well done. And I'm sitting there looking like, why am I in this photograph? Look at Del
That
Tufo.
is-
That's great.
That is
Very well
amazing.
done.
Del Tufo, you the Hambino? That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
I'll take it.
Best sports movie
Well
villain.
done, by the way.
Best sports
Very
movie
well
villain.
done.
Okay, we're going Drago.
Sean did that. Well done.
Drago.
Yes.
Big Earn McCracken from Kingpin.
Oh, we hated
Bill
him.
Murray. Okay.
So Kingpin is a sports movie.
That's a sport. It's non-sport. That's the same thing I'm talking about. Bowling is a secondary
When
thing.
you could say, what's your favorite sports movie? Are you really saying Kingpin?
Sport. My favorite's Miracle.
Because
it's
if-
a sports movie.
Hold on a second.
Miracle's a sports movie. Done.
Do we
There's
now
no
say
discussion.
that there's such a thing as a sports comedy?
Yes.
Because I would love
Well,
to. Big Earn McCracken.
Yes.
Big Earn McCracken.
Major
makes
League
this
sports
list.
comedy.
Shooter McGavin on this list?
Shooter McGavin.
Okay.
And Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid.
Ooh, we hated him. Sweep the leg. Spoiler alert.
Everybody hated Johnny Lawrence.
You could make the case that Rocky was a love story.
First
Rocky
one.
4 was a sports movie. Or was a sequel on its last legs.
Well, revenge movie.
Revenge. Revenge. Good
You know
job,
what I mean?
Rocky. Revenge. He's right. He's going back.
All right, so Drago.
There's got to be some people
Big
with some.
Earn,
We're missing
Johnny
somebody.
Lawrence, and Shooter
844-204-RICH. Big Earn McCracken. I will request this. If we are doing what we usually do with our poll questions after you have fashioned it,
Sure.
eventually, is that there are still photographs from the film or from, if you are working on it, can I request the Big Earn McCracken with the comb over is wildly
Blowing.
waving in the air? This is probably when they were in Reno for the big finish, right? That's where the
Yeah.
Yes, for the big
Bill
tour.
Murray. Bill, you could you make the case top 5 Bill Murray characters in the movies?
Hold on.
Okay.
Ghostbusters,
let's see.
Caddyshack.
Yeah, I mean,
Kingpin.
Peter Venkman.
Excuse me. You could, but
Carl
you.
Spackler.
How do you not include?
I'm missing.
Why am I blanking on his
Groundhog Day.
Stripes, Groundhog Day.
Stripes.
Hold on a second. Why am I blanking on the serious movie that he should have won a damn Oscar for?
Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always
Bigger
forget.
and may not crack the top 5.
Bigger and
doesn't make the
McCracken.
5.
Bigger and McCracken is one of the greatest Bill Murray characters of all time.
I agree.
I mean, it is Kingpin. Kingpin is amazing. It's my favorite Farrelly Brothers movie, and I know that is
You're going to be it's me too.
huge.
Something, yeah.
to
people,
say.
Yeah, I agree.
When something about Mary
Dumb and
is
Dumber.
no the best Farrelly Brothers movie. Even though I remember
Kingpin's pretty great.
what year was something about Mary? Was it 96, 97?
Stand by.
Okay.
Rich, I was in
Yes.
Kingpin.
What do you mean you were in Kingpin?
I was an extra in Kingpin back in Pittsburgh.
You were like Forrest Gump, man.
Something about Mary, 1998.
1998. 1998. I remember when that movie came out, the Brett Favre reveal was.
Sure.
We at ESPN, again, I know what people view the 90s, late 90s Sports Center as.
Golden era.
A golden era.
yeah.
Golden
Okay.
age. Yeah.
At the time, many of us still did not feel that way about it. We did not feel that way about it. I'm sure the Big Show, I'm sure Keith and Dan felt that way about it, but a lot of us newbies that were there didn't feel that way about it. And then something about Mary came out, and when Mary, Cameron Diaz, says in the movie, what's her favorite thing to do is sit at home and watch Sports Center. We were like flipping out.
That's awesome.
Flipping
a
out.
lot of people.
And of course, me as a single
too.
man in Bristol, Connecticut, thinking there could be a Mary out there watching me at 2:30 in the morning talk about, hold on a minute, let me get this right. The Vancouver Grizzlies score.
Vancouver Grizzlies.
Right. At the time. Talking about how the Minnesota Wild was, I don't know, was that?
That's a team.
I know,
a
but
hockey
the
team.
new team.
Oh.
Were the North Stars still in existence? I don't know. We were just flipping out, man. We were flipping out. Should we bring this up with Scott Boras?
Absolutely.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Actually,
already thought about it already.
You just Scott Boras knows the answer already.
He knows exactly.
He knows the winner.
He did. Yeah.
He knows the answer. He
knew
knows
it.
the answer.
Yep.
I wonder what is going on in baseball right now. What is going on right now, Scott? Fantastic. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Ramona Shelburne will be on this program as well. Rob Riggle as well. Ramona Shelburne is the NBA. I guess the latest story after we went off the air is June 1 is when everybody is expecting, I guess, the commissioner to hand down the plan. June 1 is the plan date. I'll tell you what, man. Here's what I think.
Man.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to figure out how to bubble community this thing. Best they can. Finish the season. Okay? Finish the season. And then play some playoffs. Crown a champion in like late October. Okay? Late October, you crown the champion. Take a break. Hopefully by that point in time, everything will be a little bit better on the health front. Again, I know this is a total pie in the sky. Well, ask Scott Boras. He probably knows already the answer. And then they
Start up again.
And the NBA forevermore will be December through August.
Ooh.
Chris, how about that for
Seasons
calling my
change,
shot?
like really change.
Forevermore. Start it Christmas Day. Christmas Day is when the NBA unwraps its packages every year.
That's usually the unofficial beginning to the season.
Every year, you move it back. You have the draft in like the champion gets crowned during an NFL preseason,
and then
and then the draft is in conjunction with the beginning of the NFL season, and then they take a break, and then they come back.
And the football season,
and the football season is beginning to wind down. College football's in their bowl season. Here comes the NBA.
Perfect spot.
The NHL would be wise to do the same damn thing. The NHL starts in Halloween, right? Doesn't the NBA now start in the middle of October?
Right around midnight.
Yeah, they moved it up because to avoid some of the back-to-backs. And all that stuff.
Because they load manage the schedule.
Right.
844-204-RICH is the number to dial. We're going to have tons of time in our NBCSN hours to take your phone calls. Look at Scott Boras. You know why he's smiling in that picture? Because he's getting 3% of what Bryce Harper made in the last 5 minutes. Oh. And he knows the answers to my questions. He knows my questions before the answers to my questions. That's the look of that man right there. Has he ever seen The Sandlot?
Scott Boras was probably in The Sandlot.
Well, I was just going to say.
Well, if T.J. Jefferson was in The Kingpin. I mean, it's just words that I can't describe, the things we don't even know about our social media grandmaster. Okay, Rob Riggle, Ramona Shelburne, Scott Boras, and you, 844-204-RICH. Hour number 1 in the books here on The Rich Eisen Show, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. If you're new to us, hit that subscribe button. And Sirius XM Channel 211. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Since you are an award winner, you are as good as they come, man. You are, Trace. Don't worry. You're so humble. Let me talk about that sort of stuff. So we figured, we wrote the lyrics out. We wrote his soliloquy out for you, right? Do we have the lyrics there?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
You got it right there. Trace Atkins, everyone, on The Rich Eisen Show, doing Nick Saban's How Did We Get Here?
I guess I just want to know how we got here. Not to offend anybody out there, but I just walked by some jeans, wore out jeans with holes in them, all cut up. I just remember when I was a kid in West Virginia, I was ashamed to go to school because my jeans were wore out. Only because we didn't have any better. Now they buy them that way, and I just want to know, how did we get here? Tell me, how did we get here? Don't understand these kids these days. Guess I never will. Somebody please tell me, how did we get here? People, how did we get here? Is that, you know what?
All right.
My manager just a few minutes ago showed me the new laminate that we have for our tour this year. Because we didn't know what we were going to call this tour this year. So I hope there's no copyright infringement. My tour this year is going to be the How Did We Get Here tour.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Download our app and take us with you.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app.
You guys have got the best show on television.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
I am the host of this show.
Earlier on the show, actor Nick Turturro. Coming up, sports agent Scott Boras. ESPN NBA insider Ramona Shelburne. Co-host of ABC's Holey Moley, actor Rob Riggle. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. It's a Thursday show here, and we say hello to our friends at NBCSN every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern. Love being on their airwaves and love the partnership that we've got going on here, and love how Rich Eisen show social media grandmaster TJ Jefferson keeps on trying to make putts on our putting surface here in the corner, and suddenly our Twitter handle at Rich Eisen Show and our Instagram handle at Rich Eisen Show and our chat room at youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show is totally going without anybody taking a look at it now because he's just constantly trying to jar a putt. Thankfully, Adam, our call screener, is at his post for your phone calls at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. And we say hello to all of you again across our ear gate and the eye gates who take in this show and listen to us every single day. We don't take it for granted. We are thankfully all of us happy and healthy to be here on this show, socially distant normally from each other. Now we are literally so. Good to see you, Chris Brockman and Mike Del Tufo, my on-air producer, compadre, and also my audio executive. Good to see you over there.
Good to see you.
Our friend and colleague at NBC Sports, Chris Sims, dropping some knowledge on a radio station in Dallas, Texas, just last night, I guess, saying that he is hearing. Let me get this right. It's not just a radio station. Let me get the exact words correct right here. On KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas in the Metroplex.
All right.
Chris Sims saying he's hearing the Cowboys have offered Dak Prescott 5 years, $175 million.
Where do I sign?
5 years, 100. Well,
I'm in.
Dak is not signed because he wants that fifth year to be so fat and large and plump with Jerry Jones dollars that Jerry will have no choice but to renegotiate at that time because it would bust the cap in such a way, or potentially, if that's not the case, it might be of market value 5 years from now. By the way, how about $45 million being of market value for a quarterback 5 years from now?
Oof.
And how about that quarterback being somebody who's only won one playoff game? I'm not saying that's just of Dak, just in general, okay?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Dak's won two, if I'm not mistaken.
My thoughts on this are
or he's only won the one.
I'm not down with it. We've never seen someone who has a big contract like this win a Super Bowl yet. They're all over, so whoever does will be the first, and we'll see. I think it's not smart business side on the team, but if you're the player, hey, go for it, man.
I think the last quarterback to win the Super Bowl to have more than 10% of the cap might be Eli, because Tom, as you know, was doing some
team-friendly
deals there. Yeah, man. Flacco, Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning that year, I guess.
He was making about 14, 15 that year.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
14, 15 million is $10 million less than what Jimmy Garoppolo is making right now.
Yeah. Jimmy Garoppolo would have been the first to have this super deal and win a Super Bowl.
That's why you gotta draft properly, and you gotta strike lightning, and you gotta make the team work when you have the opportunity to have your quarterback on his first contract. And you know what I will say about Dak Prescott? He's worth every penny. I said that. I said that into this microphone. I said this to this microphone. It goes everywhere. Yes, he is.
I mean, explain yourself.
I explain myself and the fact that he is the guy in Dallas. He is the guy in Dallas who has shown that he can win football games with his arm, with his legs, which is what you need in this era of football. I know they, if you will, defecated the bed last year.
Not good.
And it's not all Dak's fault. But the quarterback does get the blame in the NFL, and he can handle it. And he's got worth every penny written on him because of two things. He has shown he can win with his arm and his legs. He is a face front individual, which you need to have at the position. He is exactly the type of guy you can go to battle with on the field, in the community. And he's got leverage. And the Cowboys let him have it.
But you're going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL?
You have to, because that's the way it goes. And if you wait, it's only going to cost you more money. Because here comes Deshaun Watson across the state. And then up north, you got Patrick Mahomes, who's already won the Super Bowl in his first contract, who's already won a league MVP in his first contract, who's already won a Super Bowl MVP in his first contract. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you.
Why, though? Who else is going to pay him this kind of money?
I don't have a specific team for you because it's not going to happen. He's going to stay in Dallas.
But if Dallas says no, if Jerry says, look, this is my offer, take it or leave it, who else is going to pay him? Do you see another team paying $45 million for him?
He wouldn't be a free agent this year.
No, he'll sign his franchise tag.
But here's another thing, too, and I'm not fully well-versed on the cap. But if COVID-19 affects a bottom line as we're seeing it affecting bottom lines, you're seeing at the top of the ESPN headline stack a report that if no college football is played this year, $4 billion in revenue will be lost and college sports will never be the same. Which is why many people in that article, named and unnamed, believe there will be a college football season, whether it's on time now or they'll play it next spring. It's coming. It's going to happen. They have to have it. And if it's played next spring, a lot of players that don't want to run the risk of missing an NFL draft healthy might not play, but that's for another time. But you're seeing the bottom line affected. So if you pay Dak all this money and there's less money in the cap, boy, howdy, that would be problematic. But if you're seeing everything continue to go up, what do you want to do? You want to start from scratch? Because that's your alternative.
I mean, Andy Dalton has one less playoff win than Dak Prescott.
Do you want to go with Andy Dalton instead of Dak Prescott? Take the money out. Yes or no?
Aren't they kind of the same?
Oh. Come on. No, they're not the same. They're not the same.
Okay.
They're not the same. Have you watched a Monday night or a Sunday night football game or a Thursday night football game in the last 5 years? They're not the same. Oh, man. You're down on Dak.
No. I'm not down on Dak. I don't think Dak should be the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yes, he does. He should be because it's his turn. And I know you get so pissed off when I say that.
Makes no sense.
Because is his turn.
He's done nothing to earn it.
Yes, he has. He has.
You just mentioned Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl and was MVP.
Correct.
That guy deserves to be the highest paid player in the league.
That is correct, and he will be.
Dak Prescott has one playoff win and one season of 4,000 yards passing.
He took the job from Tony Romo. He sent Tony Romo into broadcasting. Okay? And he did it by only playing with half the field. Everybody under the sun.
I mean, Ezekiel Elliott kind of helped.
Everyone under the football sun that does not have anything to do with the New York Football Giants franchise thinks that Jason Garrett was a drag on the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, but let's not associate that with the quarterback. Let's not associate that with the quarterback at all. And you're the guy who also loves to talk about Jason Garrett, the clapper. He loves to clap. You're that guy. But let's not associate that with Dak. If we do, then despite all that, look what he's done. He is a dream in the community. Don't discount it.
I'm not discounting
a dream in the community. And this all factors in. And if you don't think he is deserving of the long-term contract, then go Kirk Cousins on him and see how that works out.
I mean, Dak's first year, all he had to do was hand the ball off. Zeke had 1,600 yards and was first-team All-Pro.
Look up Dak Prescott's game in Lambeau Field his first year there. Look it up. What he did before halftime, what he was doing to win football games for that team. He was dynamite. He was dynamite.
Everyone can have one game.
And then his next year, the offensive line, as we all know, went to poop. Remember that game in Atlanta where Tyron Smith goes out and whoever was filling in for him was such a turnstile that even Troy Aikman was calling for throwing the damn towel, to use the Rocky phrase? Dak deserves it. It's his turn. He's shown enough. He's shown a hell of a lot more than a lot of other quarterbacks who have gotten contracts in this league. My 2 cents.
I think it's crazy.
You better sign him now because his price is only going to go up. It's only going to go up. I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. What are they waiting for?
I don't think Jerry wants to pay him.
He does want to pay him. And Dak's basically saying that's not enough because he's got the leverage. Oh, yeah.
Well, then Dak's going to find himself not being the Cowboys quarterback soon.
Maybe that's the case. Somebody else will pay him. You don't think another team will pay him this money? 1,000,000% they will pay him this money.
Cam Newton doesn't have a job. Where's Dak going?
If Dak Prescott was on the open market, he would have a job. Period. End of story. He's not on the open market. He's a franchise tag quarterback. If he plays under the franchise tag, then he will make a ton of money. He will be foregoing whatever Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are putting on the table right now for the fact of saying, I've got 1 year. Then they can tag him again, I believe.
Right.
And that's why Kirk Cousins is saying, hey, tag's your friend, Dak. Don't be afraid of the tag. Look what the tag did for me. I played under the tag for 2 years. Then I got a fully guaranteed 3-year deal, after which I got more guaranteed dollars. Right. And you know what? That's a contract that a baseball player has.
Kirk Cousins also had to go to a new team to get it.
Understood. And it's a kind of a better situation for him, isn't it? When you say it's better for him in Minnesota than it is in Washington, D.C.?
Probably.
Okay, maybe it'll be better for Dak Prescott then. Look at me talking Dallas Cowboys on a sports talk radio show. Look at me in the middle of May.
And
I had no intention of doing that. I had no intention of doing that.
I don't have the patience to jack with you today.
I understand, Jerry.
I mean, TJ's happy.
Scott Boras is going to be first up. We're talking about return of sports. Scott Boras is going to be first up. He's joining us in about 7 minutes' time. He's smiling because he already knows the answers to the questions that I'm asking, because he already knows the questions that I'm asking because he can read my mind. That's why he's smiling. Plus, he's got a percentage of everybody's money in Major League Baseball, I think, right? Does everybody pays Scott Boras a fee, right? I think everybody.
I think that's just...
That's the smile of that man. Scott, stop reading my mind.
I'm going to find his client list.
Ramona Shelburne got the exit interview of Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry said that Michael Jordan's theory of keeping the team together post-Last Dance was, quote-unquote, maddening. Sounds like a man who tried to get it done and seeing Michael kind of tell his own story. I don't know if Jerry went all half a Horace Grant. You don't want to go full Horace Grant.
No.
But Ramona got that interview, and we're also wondering, is the NBA close to returning or not? Is Disney World getting ready to welcome the NBA there? We'll see. She will join us. Rob Riggle will join us at the very end. His television show, Holey Moley, returns on ABC tonight. Chris Brockman is so desperate for live sports betting. He wants to take your action on Holey Moley.
I absolutely will.
That's so sad. And speaking of return to sports, let me just talk about this briefly. We talked about it at the top of the show. What we're looking for in the return to live sports is two things. We want to get lost in the action, and we want to make sure everybody's healthy. And we want to make sure, I guess the third thing is that the testing that's required to keep everybody healthy and know who's healthy and know who's not, so you can actually have a sporting event for us to get lost in it, that we have that testing available to us as regular people. And it does appear that the testing in our country is improving, and baseball needs something, I guess, like 10,000 tests a week. And they're going to be providing testing to healthcare workers free of charge as they have the tests for their own staff and players. And at any rate, so far for NASCAR, so good. Because Twitter was lit and trending. Kyle Busch was trending. Chase Elliott was trending. I don't know if birds were trending. But all I know is the rain-shortened event in Darlington, race 2 of the week in Darlington, came down to Chase Elliott getting spun out by Kyle Busch as it looked like Elliott was in position to win last night. And Chase Elliott gets spun out by Kyle Busch, and we got a good old-fashioned NASCAR hootenanny, minus the fisticuffs. I guess that's when you're really playing the feud, to use my old SportsCenter phrase. But people think Kyle Busch doing it on purpose. Kyle Busch apologizing on Twitter. He apologizes in a video. Chase Elliott in the moment, the heat of the moment, standing. I guess, what would that be? Right in between the pit area and the racetrack itself, standing there, waiting for Busch to come around in the caution and giving him the one-fingered salute. I guess letting him know he doesn't see the 8 in that car. He just sees the 1 on the car. Tell him that he's number 1.
Just going for it.
And guess what? He just, to make sure that Kyle could see it, he moved his arm around. Like he
yeah.
What'd you get? Did he go 180?
Like a full
180.
A full 180. Just
nice
bam.
little turn. Nice little turn. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a left turn of the bird flying.
Yeah, he went right to left.
So for a split moment, we got to lose ourselves in a controversy, in an argument. And for that, we say to NASCAR, thank you. For a moment, there was no pandemic. There was just a bird flip and a controversy and lots of chatter.
Just some good old sports pettiness.
Good old sports pettiness. When can we get back to that?
Soon, hopefully.
So when we come back, Scott Boras will let us know what he knows. It's been awful quiet on the Major League Baseball front. Usually that means good news. That means good news, usually, when you hear nothing. No news sometimes does give us good news. Scott Boras, Ramona Shelburne, Rob Riggle, and you at 844-204-RICH on The Rich Eisen Show. So, our phone lines are lighting up. We will take your phone calls in short order. What's Judy Bautista talking about? As you could see, you can get our podcast on podcast1.com. Chris, what's she talking about?
Judy's talking about rule proposals
Yes.
here for the competition committee. Looks like on May 28th, the NFL is going to have a virtual meeting and growing support for a Eagles proposal of a 4th and 15 play.
Yes, instead of an onside kick.
From the kicking team's 25 in lieu of the onside kick. You can do it a max of twice a game.
Win. 4th Just
and
like
15.
what Adrian said to Rocky. Win.
Way to bring that back. Nice.
Oh, we didn't even get to our poll question on NBCSN, did we?
Not yet.
We'll do it.
Also, Scott Boras represents 175 players.
Does he really? And that's not an exaggeration,
No,
right?
that is a true number.
It's not an exaggeration. 175 players, huh?
According to the Google.
All right. And again, the reason why he's smiling is he knows everything. He knows what I'm thinking right now. Is he on hold right now?
He is.
Oh my God, he knows what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, just it's like that scene in Ghostbusters. Just clear your mind of all thoughts.
Clear your mind of all things.
What did you do, Ray?
What'd you do? Stay puft Marshmallow, man.
Let me tell you about Geico, folks. Before Scott Boras joins us here on the Rich Eisen Show, as we're waiting for the NBCSN audience to go through its commercial break, we're just letting you know that Geico is here to share with you after you have spent so much time sharing with so many of us during these crazy times, whether you're sharing more about your private life, sharing your savage dance moves, your DIY haircut fails, your inner lip sync star. Thank God for Rex Chapman's Twitter feed, the way he's sharing everything. Now Geico's turn to share, too, after saying thanks to you. Their time to turn with the Geico Give Back. 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility. We're on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Again, for everybody out there that might be taking in our show and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. That lets us know that you're out there. Also on Sirius XM Channel 211 after the Dan Patrick Show on Dan Patrick Radio. We appreciate your eargate. And NBCSN, 1 to 3 Eastern. They're almost done with their commercial break. When we come back, a man I've known for quite some time, Scott Boras will be joining us. Because, again, all has been quiet on the Major League Baseball front. It's been a week since the commissioner of Major League Baseball spoke to CNN. I do not believe he has made any other public comments since then. Normally, when a commissioner doesn't say anything and he tells people don't say anything, that means they're trying to make a deal. At least that's the way it works in the NFL. We're back with Scott Boras here on the Rich Eisen Show in just mere seconds. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. It was 1 week ago, Commissioner of Major League Baseball Rob Manfred spoke to CNN, dropped a lot of numbers, talking about a $4 billion loss in revenue if no baseball season goes down. This was after Blake Snell of Tampa went to his Twitch and talked about the deal that the players in Major League Baseball made in March and how the shifting numbers now here in May is something that he is not in for, with him being the one putting his body and his immune system on the line. And then Bryce Harper commented on his Twitch feed a day later saying that he understood what Snell had to say. And I don't think we've heard a single thing out of anybody on either side, if you will. And I hope there's no sides. I just hope everybody gets together for a Major League Baseball season. And a friend of the program and a guy who I'm pleased to call a friend, Scott Boras, back here on the Rich Eisen Show. I think he represents how many people in Major League Baseball? 1 million people in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly, right around there. Give or take a few. Scott Boras back here on the show. How are you, Scott?
Hi, Rich. I hope that you and Susie and the family are all well.
We are.
And safe.
How about you? Everything good with you and yours?
Yes. You talk to so many people back east, particularly in the Northeast, and those of us that are out here, the virus has really just brought a different experience for a lot of reasons. So I think we're very fortunate, and I'm happy for them that things are mitigating and we're getting this under control a bit.
Yeah, I'm knocking on wood on that, and obviously a return to normalcy would feel a lot more comforting for a lot of people with the return of sports. And so I'm wondering, what can you tell us as we sit here right now about what you know about what baseball and its Players Association is discussing about a return to action in 2020, Scott?
The players I represent and the union, they've really been at the forefront of working with MLB, because obviously this is not the fault of anyone. And it was really good in March that right after baseball shut down, the two sides got together and and really worked hard, rolled up their sleeves, and put together some parameters that certainly allowed, I think, a platform and a foundation for them to put a focus together and allow baseball to continue. I think the players made a substantial. Under the CBA, there was 162 games that were owed and about $4.5 billion in salaries, and the players basically have taken a substantial salary cut in the sense that they didn't obligate the owners to offer those 162 games, and basically said we're going to get paid on a pro rata basis going forward, and so it's that's something I think that Tony Clark and the union leadership and the players really got to that point, saying we're going to work hard to be a good partner and compromise in this thing to go forward.
So that was back then, and now I guess the fact that there's going to be no fans in the stands, according to baseball, changes the financial equation of whatever was agreed to back in March, and that appears to be the issue that's at hand right now. Am I correct in that assumption, Scott?
No, I think in March, actually the virus was much worse and much more unknown then, and I think it was very clear, and the parties kind of have an agreement that there's, if games are to be played, there's it has to be economically feasible, and the two sides would sit down and talk about that feasibility, and certainly the evidence to date is because of the television contracts and regional, national, and in the postseason, which the owners actually have a kind of a bonanza because they don't share any of those billion-dollar type rights with the players, is that there is ample economics to suggest it's very feasible to play games without fans and have owners and such certainly have a season where they're not going to make the money that they did in a normal dynamic, neither will the players, but still continue with a productive schedule.
So I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down here, Scott. So if baseball is in fact trying to term the March agreement as inoperative based on the current virus boots, figuratively, as you know, on the ground, that would be a non-starter, or what?
I think these are bridges already built based upon the conditions that were far worse then because of the unknowns. I mean, again, there's a direction about economic feasibility that guys will discuss whether or not they play games, but in the process of that, there was already an agreement and discussion as to whatever games they do play. We know that the players will receive a pro rata share of their salaries for doing it. So those are two separate issues, whether or not they play games or not, or what players are paid as what the parties agreed to back then.
So I mean, Scott Boras here on the Rich Eisen Show. So fans are hearing, at least last week, a 50-50 revenue split would be what baseball's looking for, and fans hear that. Oh, okay, that's fair. You're each taking half, and then players are saying, or at least Players Association saying that that's not good at all. As a matter of fact, it's something that Blake Snell said he wasn't willing to risk playing. Can you explain why the players take that stance, then, Scott?
Well, my point is that. In fairness to the parties that are negotiating this, the union and Major League Baseball, and certainly from the players I represent, the context of how they work over the years is that we don't have a salary cap. We don't have we have a bargaining history that is completely different. Mm-hmm. I've learned long ago that the definition of revenue is something that it's like galaxies. It's undefinable. You can't really determine what revenue is because there's so many ways to move that needle around. But essentially, look, baseball, I mean, we have one public company that we know because they file returns, the Atlanta Braves. They were purchased, 15 years ago for $450 million, and now they're worth $1.8 billion. Their revenues in 2016 were $260 million. Now they're $475 million. They're making a great deal of money, and so in those instances, you don't hear anything about any form of radical change about a change of our structure and what we do without a salary cap and going to revenue sharing. But the point is, it was never ever requested or sought for because they privatized the gains. So you can't privatize the gains and socialize the losses and these things. You have a platform, you do what you do. But in fairness to everybody, this concept, I think, came into the media, Rich, but I don't think there's any evidence. I think the parties are working as they should work, and I'm not involved in that negotiation, but I would certainly think that, we just need to give them time to work through what they're going to work through before we make any assessments. But we have a very healthy game. The owners in baseball have nearly tripled their values and their franchises for those that have owned clubs over 10 years, and the game is very, very healthy. We have obviously a pandemic and a public health issue that got in the way of this that really affected the players and what their earnings are, and it affects the owners and what their earnings are. And I'm sure that the methods with which they deal are going to be more patterned along the lines of the structures that were in place prior to them going into this negotiation.
Scott Boras here on the Rich Eisen Show. And before we do move into what you know, or what your clients know about the safety and the health issues and baseball's protocols that they've put together, I just want to spend one last question on the revenue side of things here, because again, you're not in the negotiation, as you pointed out, and you're not in the union, but you do represent a large number of players, many of whom are very famous, and the ones who, if they say something, would definitely move the needle. So that said, I've wondered about what's going on right now, and you've said many times about what happened in March, as if that is this is a settled issue in terms of revenue, and it seems like baseball is making it seem as if it is not a settled issue, and that is the issue that I'm concerned about. Do you think that is something that can be eventually settled so we can get to baseball here, Scott?
The parties understand that there's an economic feasibility, that in good faith that they are in discussion. And I think to date, this is something that should not be discussed publicly, but they're going to be talking privately about demonstrating the economic quotient here. Certainly our data, because we know the TV contracts and we know what players are making for a partial season, is that the bottom line is it's definitely, without question, more beneficial for owners to play and have a season and earn those media contracts without fans than it is for them to not play and suffer very serious losses by not producing the game. And, Rich, remember, there are many players who have guaranteed contracts going into the 21 season and well beyond. You do not want your athletes and the assets of your franchise to not perform for a year and then come back and play, because you don't want starting pitchers going from where they were throwing maybe 140, 150 innings, and then they platform into a couple hundred innings in 21. You don't want them going from zero and not pitching for over a year to then being asked to throw 200 innings. That would result in a dramatic impact on the potentials for injury and diminution of skill. So you've got a whole element of this, in my mind, that prompts, if you're a franchise owner and preserving the skills that you have, your development of your players, the preservation of your existing assets, that you definitely have very strong reasons economically to say we need to play baseball.
A few more minutes left with Scott Boras of Boras Corporation here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'm assuming you've read the 60-plus page document that baseball put together for health protocols, and I'm wondering what you thought of it, Scott. Do you think that this is doable?
Well, I think what we've done is that with our clients, we've gotten doctors, and we've studied the therapeutics, and as you know, Rich, I have a medical background and study pharmacology, so we've done a lot of educational work over the last 2 months with our clients about what the expert immunologists, serologists, virologists have to say about this. And I think the players have a good understanding because of their age group and where they're at with, making an assessment of the safety. The great thing is, too, we've got an operational model in Korea and Taiwan where people have been together and playing for over 90 days. There's not been any hospitalizations. And obviously the survival rate is 100%. So we're really looking at all that information. And when we get health care professionals, they're going to give a very concerned and professional opinion about what they want players to follow. And then on the other side of it, players have to look into the fact of the functionality and the needs of them performing what they do on the field and also what they must do to prevent injury. And so I think you look at both sides of that, and you take a close look. You talk about the profession, the needs to sustain performance and sustain a career, and you also talk about the public health issue needs from those professionals, and I think you map it out, and I think that process is ongoing.
Okay, last one for you, Scott. The $64,000 question, proverbially, or $4 billion question, literally, from what we're hearing. Brass tacks it for me. I'm sure you get this question all the time. I'll just add my name to that list. Do you think there's baseball in 2020?
Well, Rich, I think because when you study medicine, you understand that the prohibitive factor on this is the medical expert opinion about the safety and care of the process, of the people involved, and everyone. And once you know that the medical science, we're talking about now we have vaccines that are going to be coming hopefully a lot earlier, the therapeutics, the testings have advanced. There's even new testing mechanisms on the forefront that are more immediate and accurate. When you have all those things evolve with the great medical minds, that's what's making me so positive about the idea that we can create an employment environment and a game and put it on and continue and frankly give America something that really tells us we're back to normalcy. I think it's a big barometer for that. And so I'm very encouraged about where we are from with our understanding of the virus from the medical community. And that's really what's given me a very optimistic view about the return of baseball.
Scott, thanks for the time. Glad to hear everybody's happy and healthy in your neck of the woods. Let's keep in touch.
Always a pleasure, Rich.
Right back at you. That's Scott Boras right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Scott Boras, again, representing 175 players in Major League Baseball, and actually a man who received his Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Pacific in 1977. So he wasn't joking.
Nope.
He wasn't joking.
That man knows.
He can make you $500 million in one contract and also fill out a prescription. Scott Boras. Who knew? What about the return of the NBA? We'll get that from ESPN NBA insider and senior writer Ramona Shelburne, who also spoke to Jerry Reinsdorf. That's next. All right, we're back here on the show. You all right over there, Mike? You couldn't get the
my playback's
music?
not working.
No music?
No music? It's not playing back.
No music?
So, no music.
No music?
I'm having a problem with the playback system.
It says that. So if we had the last dance from your playback system?
That may be the last dance.
That would be terrible.
The last mix.
The last mix, everybody.
That is the last mix.
All right. Let's go to... Oh, take a look at what. I was going to take a phone call. What do we got? Oh, my God. You've got to be kidding me. That is fantastic. Ryan Fitzpatrick is glorious.
My favorite thing about this photo, of course, Fitzpatrick looks amazing. It's the first edition iMac in the back.
I like it.
You think he still uses that thing?
I like it. All right, let's save. I want to hold my powder, if you will, for the NBCSN crew at the top of our final hour.
So much to break down there.
Oh, my gosh. There's lots to talk about right there. We haven't asked our poll question yet? On NBC, we haven't asked it either.
Yeah.
Let's get to this, because we talked about this last hour when we talked about films. Chris Brockman said you can't have a film that's 80 years old can't be considered great anymore because it's 80 years old.
The greatest of all time.
Okay. Derek in Texas, you're here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Derek? Let's take his call. Can you get me line one?
Rich.
How are you, Derek?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking.
What's on your mind, Derek?
Well, I just wanted to talk to Brockman, and then yourself included as well, look, I'm 28 years old, so I'm younger than both of y'all.
Yes, you are.
And you have to include older films purely for the fact that you wouldn't have newer films if it wasn't for the Kubricks or, like especially like yesterday, Brockman saying he hadn't seen A Clockwork Orange. That just blew my mind.
Chris?
I mean, I'm sorry your mind was blown.
Okay. Well, look.
I will watch them.
Up on some of your films.
Oh, I missed what you said.
I missed it too. Yeah, I'm sorry. We get our ears blown out when we're. So yeah, we got. By the way, Orson Welles directed and wrote and acted in Citizen Kane. If he didn't do that, he might have. He was. I think he was the first to do that. Act, direct, write.
So no one would have figured it out?
No, somebody had to be the first to do it.
Congratulations.
And by the way, wow. Did you just congratulate Orson Welles on making Citizen Kane?
I mean, kudos.
Thanks for the call, Derek.
Well done.
Well, you were not entertaining Derek at all. Are you in a mood all of a sudden over there?
No.
Okay,
no, I'm good.
I can't have you in a mood.
I'm good.
Can't have you in a mood.
I'm great.
All right, Ramona Shelburne, when we come back on the Rich Eisen Show, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. And NBC returns in just a matter of seconds. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. We are live on NBCSN. We just talked to Scott Boras, who, when he was talking about how he was feeling great about the return of Major League Baseball, he was mentioning the science and the health aspect of it, not just exactly the aspect of the revenue. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts right there. And now we're hearing the NBA. We might hear on June 1st about all that. Coming up in just a matter of days, if we're going to have an NBA playing season, and discuss that as well as her exit interview of the Last Dance exit interview of Jerry Reinsdorf. We have Ramona Shelburne of ESPN here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Ramona?
Oh, wait, hold on. Mike hung up on her by accident.
Yeah, by accident. When I was resetting the system, everything went down. Sorry about that. We're calling her back.
What did you do?
I reset my system because I lost all my sound.
He fat-fingered and accidentally hung up on Ramona.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Yeah, things happen.
I didn't know how to tap dance all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, Rich.
Mike is...
I got a vamp. All of a sudden. What are you doing over there?
I reset my system. I'm sorry, Rich.
The poll question, Chris. We might as well use that. Why don't you fill the time when we get Ramona Shelburne back here?
It's the 68th birthday of Mr. T. He's pitying no fools today. So that got us thinking about the best sports movie villain. Of course, he played Clubber Lang in Rocky III. Clubber Lang doesn't make the list, however. We didn't want to go double Rocky. So best sports movie villain, we're going Ivan Drago from Rocky IV, Big Ern McCracken from Kingpin, Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid, and Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore. At Rich Eisen Show, vote right now.
Look at Big Ern McCracken and all of his hair glory there.
The comb-over was on point.
All right, there's lots to talk about on that, but for the moment, we turn now to Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, who had the exit interview, if you will, of Jerry Reinsdorf from The Last Dance here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Ramona?
Good. How are you doing, Rich?
I'm doing better for actually hearing your voice. Thank you. We appreciate you sitting through those technical difficulties right there. So, was Jerry Reinsdorf eager to talk and set a record straight, Ramona? Did you sense when you spoke to him?
Yeah, he kind of was. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, when I first started to talk to him, like, he had clearly thought about what he wanted to say. It was, he had watched the whole series and he had, kind of had his own thoughts on the matter. And like the first thing that came out of his mouth was like, can there be any doubt that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time? Like that was the first thing he wanted to, and he went on quite a while about that. And I think that's what a lot of us sort of felt after watching it. Right. And then, the second part, which I had, I really pressed him on, which was, well, look, why did it have to end? Why did this have to be the last dance? I mean, as you watch this, it's obvious that so many of their problems were just internal, that there was a couple of easy solves, which, just fire the general manager. That's the guy who's causing the problems, right? And I think what Reinsdorf's point is like, he pointed out to me that he did try to get him back together at the end. He went to Michael in July, and he said, Michael, don't say anything yet. We're in the middle of a lockout, let me see if I can get Phil. And he went back to Phil one or two more times and still tried to get him to come back around. But I think by that point it was probably too late. I think, when you play the whole season and it's the last dance and you say your goodbyes and like too much blood has been spilled. It was an ugly year. Like it was probably too late for a Hail Mary, right? But were there times earlier that they could have changed things, that they could have changed history? And I think there were, but I don't know if it really would have worked, right? I think that team was getting older. I think, and Jerry's point, which is a good one, is that, a lot of those players were, they didn't really do much after that year. Like Luke Longley went to Phoenix and that didn't go well. And Dennis Rodman played like 35 more games. And Scottie Pippen, he got paid, but he certainly wasn't the same Scottie Pippen after he left Chicago. He had a history of injuries. Steve Kerr, Judd Bushler, those guys moved on. Like they're really, it was going to be hard to keep that team together at that level. And I think Reinsdorf's words were like, Michael really had to carry them.
No doubt.
Last year they were gassed. That look, we just saw how those efforts were against the Pacers and the Utah Jazz. Like, I mean, they barely won that year, and it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have won again, but. Sometimes you have to like look at something and say like, this was coming to an end.
I know. I remember sitting on the SportsCenter set. We were all wondering how the hell is this really going to end? Would they really let this thing lapse? Essentially, is what the concept is. And I understand that a lot of these guys didn't do very much, although Kerr did win a championship in the next year with the Spurs in the shortened season.
Right.
I understand that they didn't do very much from there on out, but this was all about having one of the greatest rock and roll, if you will, tours in the history of sports.
Yeah.
And running it back just for the mere sense of just you got to see what you have. And part of the reason why it would have been so difficult is obviously Pippen and Phil having their issues with Jerry Krause, who it appeared Reinsdorf let do what he wanted to do. So does Reinsdorf accept any, if you will, responsibility for any of this, do you think?
Not really. I didn't get that from him. Like I pressed, right? Like I asked the question a couple of different ways and a couple of different, and part of me is like, I think this is just his style. I think he basically said he went to Jerry and said, knock it off. You guys are winning. Why did you say that 82-0 comment? He went to Phil and said, hey, you and Krause, this is a mismatch. Just let this go, Like he kind of wanted them to solve their problem. And I'm always looking at it from sort of a modern viewpoint, which is like, dude, you're the owner. Like, just choose between them. And I said, why didn't you choose between them? Because in this case, like, not making that decision was making a decision, right? Like, sometimes when like, I tend to be a little bit indecisive when I'm, like, scheduling things, right? Like, I'm not sure. Let me see. I'll see in a couple of days. And a lot of it is just, like, it's my own personality, but it's somewhat like my job too. Like something might come up and I have a better idea, like literally the day of, as opposed to 4 days out, right? And I think Reinsdorf is the same way. I think he just didn't want to swing the hammer. I think he didn't want to have to choose between them, so he just simply didn't. And he told them to work it out. He tried to help them work it out. He tried to be the middleman, tried to sort of force the issue. He basically told Phil, like, who cares about Krause? Just go over his head. Come straight to me if you have an issue. Like, why can't you work through this, right? And, at some point when you don't make a decision, the decision is made for you. And that's the story of the Bulls. Now, I look back at this history, and I just watched the 10-parter. I see this from a modern NBA viewpoint. There was a way they could have solved this, And I think so much of the discord came from the situation with Scottie Pippen, where if you would have just given Pippen an extension a couple years earlier,
right?
Like, you don't even have to do like a 5-year giant contract. You could have done 3 years. 3 years, $15 million a season. He would have been happy, and then that whole thing goes away. Plus, I think it was pretty obvious, like in watching this, that Krause was trying to turn the team over before they got old, and he couldn't get anything for the stars, right? Like you sometimes if you wait 1 year too long, now your contracts are big and bloated, and you can't turn over, and it takes 5 years longer to rebuild, right? But you still could have done it if you did a short-term extension with Pippen where you paid him kind of a lot of money.
Right.
He still would have been tradable.
What about
they had a trade with Boston that they said no to because they wanted to give a chance that 6th run, but like that trade would have been there the next year.
What about this, Ramona Shelburne here on the Rich Eisen show? I mean, as long as we're getting in the DeLorean here, right, and we're going back in time and we set the date to try and change history here. Why not? Because to me, one of the more shocking moments of The Last Dance was Reinsdorf basically recounting him telling Pippen, "Don't sign this contract." Right? And he's the one that could have at any point in time told Jerry Krause, "Jerry, this is ridiculous. We're pissing off somebody who's crucially important to us, and I want to, and I know I'm breaking precedents, and I might be making your job a little bit tougher with other people, but this is Scottie Pippen we're talking about. Extend him. Let's pay him. Let's make sure he's happy." What about doing that when Jordan retires for the first time? And saying, Scotty, you know where you're being underpaid, and now we're asking you to take over for Michael friggin' Jordan. How about we do? How about we go back in the DeLorean and give him the contract extension and make him whole? Then he might be getting off the bench with 1.4 seconds to go, and he's on the floor when Kukoc makes the shot. Then maybe he's not going to wait till the very last second to get surgery before The Last Dance. Maybe he's not going to fall apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, I actually understand Reinsdorf's point, which was like, he warned him. He said, "Don't do," and he actually did the same thing with Jordan, by the way. When Jordan did that contract, he said, "This is going to end up being a bad deal for you. If I know where the NBA is going, I know where revenue is going. You shouldn't do this. But if you sign this, I don't want to hear from you again." And he said, to Michael's credit, he never heard from him. Michael would grouse about it. I mean, I know people covered the team back then, and they said, Michael would say, he was underpaid for a long time. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get, and he did. Okay. I mean, think about this. The salary cap at that year, 98, Rich, $61.6 million. Michael Jordan made over $30 million. I think he made 33 that year. Okay. That's more than half the salary. Oh, sorry. So that was the Bulls' salary. Okay, now 61.6. So he made more than half of what the rest of the team made. The NBA salary cap for the entire team was $26.9 million. So Michael made more as one player than the entire salary cap for most teams. Right? Woo. Okay. Now there are those who would say, well, that's kind of like the Warriors this past year. I mean, if they would have kept Durant and Steph, Draymond, Clay, that could have been a $400 million team, and the Warriors would have paid it because that's what you pay that money to keep a championship team together. But it's a little different, and I don't like to tell billionaires how to spend their money. I don't like to tell anybody. Okay, it's a little different when the players are older, coming off a lot of injuries. Right? It is. It's like you don't feel as nervous investing in Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Durant now. They all got hurt in the finals, okay? So, yeah, you do a little bit. But they're younger. You still feel like they have more of their prime. I mean, this is more like giving Chris Paul a big contract. This is more like giving somebody who's like in that last max contract a big deal. And I know that's a little riskier just based on their ages. And so, your point's right. Like they could have just extended Pippen and done the right thing by him. But I think there was a sort of principle to it that, they warned him. They said, "Don't do that. We're not going to renegotiate." I think that just might be how they do business. And,
it's a unique way to do business, right? Ramona. It's a unique way to do business. Yeah. Hey, look, I've got 2 minutes left for the hard out, as you know, in the television business. And it's only the thorniest issue in the history of the NBA. Forget about The Last Dance. What do you what should we look forward to seeing about the return of action, if at all? Ramona, walk me through what
In
you
the
know.
NBA?
Yes, please.
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of big meetings that are coming up. There's they have like a weekly general managers call. They have a board of governors meeting. I think it's sometime next week. These are all standards. This time everybody's having meetings now, right? All the time. So none of these are like different than the other meetings. But I think over the next week or two, we're going to see. The safety protocols. Here's the conditions. They're going to start making some decisions. Are we going to be at home practice sites for some of it? Are we going to be at Disney World? Are we going to be, some combination of both? Like, I think those final, here's what it would look like ideas are going to come out, and they're going to kind of be codified and maybe sent to the union and voted on. I think that's what you're going to probably see over the next couple of weeks. Everything's been collectively bargained the whole time. So, I don't want to make too much of any one meeting because they've been meeting and talking the entire time, right? But over the next couple of weeks, I think you're going to start to see some things happen, and we're either going to have a season or we're not. But that's step one, right? As you know, because it's not just enough to make a plan to come back. You actually have to do it. And then there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be 4 or 5 guys who will test positive, and then what do you do?
Exactly.
There's going to be an escalation from shooting in a mostly empty gym with, rebounders who have masks on to full contact NBA basketball again. We're going to see the testing protocols again.
Well, we'll hopefully get to see it. Ramona, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. You take care. Great interview with Jerry Reinsdorf. That's Ramona Shelburne here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hour number 3 coming up. Rob Riggle and your phone calls, 844-204-RICH. First up, celebrity true or false with Boban. True or false, you eat soup every single day. Is that true?
Yes, true.
Why is that?
Yeah, because it's a big deal in my country, soup, and we eat soup every time. This is like when you're growing up, you say, hey, first you start your meal with the soup, and after that you can eat whatever you like.
Okay.
It's not basically it's like how we do. When you eat soup, basically you feel like you're healthy because a little bit full your stomach and you're not hungry too much.
So do you at some point during the day, I haven't eaten soup yet. I need to have my soup. You have had that?
Yes.
Okay, what is your favorite soup?
Butternut squash, chicken noodle soup, tomato soup, mushroom soup, everything
Okay. Have you thought about making your own line of soup? Boban soup.
Boban soup. This is a good idea. I will think about it.
Here, let's pound that out.
I will think about it.
Very good.
I will think about it.
Next one for Boban. Celebrity true or false with Boban.
False.
You do not like you do not like cake. You do not like cake.
No cakes. Not big fan.
Why? What's wrong with cake?
Cakes. I like small desserts. If I eat something, I will eat something really to enjoy because small desserts.
Did you get? They're all small. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, they're all small too. Everything.
So if I have you over for dinner, soup. Nutella crepe.
Yes.
Okay, that's
They're easy.
That's a combination.
Easy.
That's very simple.
This like couple bucks, nothing more, nothing too much.
Last one for you, Boban. True or false? You love to shake hands. Is that true?
But to be honest, people more like to shake my hands than like to shake. Every time, every time, when somebody come to me, I just come from the restroom, I wash my hands, I ready to eat food, and I was walking like this. I hope somebody not shake my hands. And that time, somebody comes, hey, how are you? And I was like, how are you?
That's when you go with the fist pound, right there.
Yeah, I know. I know.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Download our app and take us with you.
Available now on the Rich Eisen Show app.
You guys have got the best show on television.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
I am the host of this show.
Earlier on the show, actor Nick Turturro, sports agent Scott Boras, ESPN NBA insider Ramona Shelburne. Coming up, co-host of ABC's Holey Moley, actor Rob Riggle. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. It's our final hour of this Thursday show, middle of May 2020, here on the Rich Eisen Show, live from Los Angeles, California. Your phone calls, 844-204-RICH. We'll have more than enough time to take them. If you're on hold, stay on hold. Rob Riggle will be joining us at the end of this hour. Holey Moley Season 2 returns on ABC tonight. Steph Curry's show with Rob Riggle and Joe Tessitore joining the action. Chris Brockman is so hard up for gambling, he's actually thinking of taking prop bets from random people on Holey Moley tonight.
I totally am.
My condolences, sir. My condolences, sir. Mike Del Tufo's at his post as well. Scott Boras and Ramona Shelburne last hour, and the return of baseball and basketball up in the air. Boras, how many times did I ask Scott Boras about what's going on negotiating right now? And I finally got to drill down because he kept on talking about what the deal was in March. And I basically had to say, okay, so what you're saying is what was talked about in March is not on the table here in May as far as you're concerned. Because the problem with that is baseball seems to put what they talked about in March back on the table here in May. And baseball players are saying, no, what you said in March about our salary has nothing to do with May. Right? Didn't you pick that up from Scott Boras? And then I finally pushed him, and he's just like, hey, I'm not negotiating. Everybody's, talking about that. And he's optimistic about this on a health and safety issue based on what he knows and what he's telling his players as a former, as somebody who's got a pharmacology degree in college. Who knew that about Scott Boras? He can negotiate $500 million contracts and fill out a prescription. Never knew that. Huh? Maybe is that what he called Bryce Harper's contract a refill? Is that what he called it? Is that why he called it a refill? I didn't know that.
You're only allowed so many of those.
It's not. Scott's saying to Steinbrenner, Jacoby Ellsbury's contract, it's not a renegotiation. It's a refill. It's a refill. You're saying he's out of refills. We're saying he's not.
Is he still on your books?
Jacoby Ellsbury will be on the books when Cage Brockman retires.
Is he the Bobby
When Cage
Bonilla?
Brockman gets an AARP card, Jacoby Ellsbury will still be dead money, and Bobby Bonilla will still be dead money on the Mets. He'll still be one of the highest paid New York Met
The
players.
modern day Bonilla, Jacoby Ellsbury.
And we talked with Ramona Shelburne just moments ago about her conversation with Jerry Reinsdorf, the old Bulls owner, taking issue with Jordan's kind of very pat response of, yeah, we could have had another season. And you couldn't have had another season because Scotty needed to get paid and all the other guys were kind of on their last legs. And I'm like, yeah, so what? You can't let something like that lapse. And how about this one? And then we'll get to a news update because there's some news on the NFL
we got some NFL
making
stuff
front.
on, yeah.
And then again, your phone calls at 844-204-RICH before we get to Rob Riggle. Chris Brockman, what type of owner would you be? Now, let me fill that in with some information.
Poor baby.
Because Jerry Reinsdorf, according to Ramona Shelburne, told Michael Jordan the same thing he told Scottie Pippen, which is the contract that's on the table, don't take it. Because you will not like it by the end, and I don't want to hear it from you. Which is what a friend says to somebody when giving them advice on their business front. That's what a friend would say.
Sure.
But this is the actual owner whose team is putting the contract in front of the possible employee for the services of the person that you're telling don't take it. So Reinsdorf's flow chart was I'm at the top. And I am installing a general manager to negotiate with you and screw you over with what's being put on the table. And then I'll tell you, don't take it. It's not a good deal. Which is what he told Jason Hare. He said he told Pippen about the deal. Like, if you take this deal that's on the table, that, by the way, my employee is offering to you for your services to remain my employee, that's a weird setup, don't you think? Don't come complaining to me when my proxy hands you a contract that you signed that I'm telling you is not the best deal. Or are you the owner that puts the best deal on the table for your player? Which owner are you, Chris?
I would be in the Steinbrenner-Cuban hybrid. So
go for it.
Yeah, we're trying to win. I'm also going to be honest.
But are you? Well, what's more honest if Jerry Reinsdorf, the contract on the table stinks on ice. And if you don't like it by the end of it and it's not the right contract, don't come complaining to me.
Right.
That's an odd way of owning a team.
It is very odd. I also sort of respect him for going about that way, but like Scotty signed it.
I'm going to put somebody in a spot to negotiate. Like, let's just say for the Rich Eisen show, I will install somebody that negotiates your contract with you on my behalf.
Okay.
And then it's a deal that I'll tell you, don't sign it, man. Why the hell am I putting it in front of you? I guess to try and know that the person who I have there is going to try and save me money in the long run.
Right.
But I want you happy when you come to work.
Of course.
I don't want you getting, like surgery on your vocal cords right before our biggest season. So we're 4 months into it, and I got to rely on Del Tufo to get me through the 3 hours.
Oh, you're in trouble, Rich. Especially my last
right.
hour.
You're fat fingering.
I mean,
you just
powers.
you fat. By the way,
hey,
you just hung up on Ramona Shelburne.
Even Jerry Rice dropped a couple balls.
Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, what a weird way of running a team.
Very weird.
That's.
Also, you're the owner. I mean, Ramona had the nail in the coffin there. Just fire the GM. Just fire Krause.
Exactly.
You don't want to deal with any of this? Fire the guy who's the problem.
Hold on a second now. The issue is with this, let's be fair here. Krause is the guy who made all of these moves that really did work out, with the exception of pushing the blow-up button on The Last Dance. Okay? I mean, right? The draft day deal for Pippen.
Genius.
The flipping...
Sure.
The flipping, now obviously I had to have a coach, by the way, who he hired. He told Doug Collins out.
Yeah.
Here's Phil in. Also, how about Rodman? Bring in Rodman.
Yeah. Will Perdue for Rodman.
Kukoc.
And then early on they flipped Oakley for Cartwright.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he scouted Kukoc years before he finally joined the team. I mean, there's a reason Krause is in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Now, we're going and getting a European player now is not a surprise.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, you as a Celtic fan, 2-3 years ago, you're sitting there on draft night. Hey, it's somebody who's like third all-team Adriatic League. Remember, I texted you that what ESPN Chiron's your new Celtic.
I don't even think that
was third all Adriatic team, and it's just like, hey, some polysyllabic Slovakian is now the savior of my NBA franchise. I got to go Google him. Right? Like, that's normal now. Back in the day, nobody was reaching into the ranks of Croatia to try and get somebody like Krause did. So let's not throw all of it on Krause here. Great stuff. I mean, honestly, it really is a fascinating conversation, and the documentary has been done for 3 days. All right, that was Ramona Shelburne. Let's get a Chris Brockman news update, and we hope that NBC News Emeritus Voice is available. I'm being told he is available. I'm being told he is available to introduce Chris Brockman's news update. Go for it.
And now, with a report of the day's news from the world of sports and entertainment, someone who is not a journalist or newsman by any definition of the word whatsoever, it's Chris Brockman.
All right, very well done. Thanks to Mr. Brokaw once again, setting the stage for you, Chris. What's going on?
All right,
there?
some stuff popping in the NFL world. Our friend Judy Batista, she's tweeting on May 28th coming up, the NFL is going to have another virtual meeting, and they're going to vote on potential rule changes. growing support, she's saying, for a Philadelphia Eagle proposal.
Yes.
To get rid of the onside kick.
See ya.
Replace it with a 4th and 15 play.
Yes.
From the kicking team's 25-yard line for a max of 2 times per game.
Win.
This is awesome.
I love it.
Love this idea.
Do it. That should be 32-0.
Well, the Raiders will abstain.
31-1 to 31-0-1. Or it'll be 31-1 because Mike Brown will just say no. The Bengals. Is it new? Is it something of this century?
This is cool, right?
I say nay.
This is a great idea.
And the only reason why I say that is Mr. Brown, as he is known in circles, the NFL, said no to the permanency of instant replay. This is a yes. This is an emphatic yes. This is a most certainly yes. This is an absolutely cool. What? You know what? The onside kick has become the NFL's version of the penny. Leave a penny, take a penny. I don't care. What is it? 2 cents change? I don't need 2 cents change. I don't need it. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it for somebody else to try. I don't need it.
Is it 10,
Please,
15%?
I don't even know what it is anymore because of the way
low.
that you have to also place people for player health and safety issues on the onside, and then you can't run up to the line of scrimmage anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's let's go. 4th and 15, man.
Love it.
Like
Great
remember the famed Fred X 4th and 22? Like let's do that. Now you can have this multiple times a game.
4th and 26.
I mean, multiple times.
4th and 26.
Pardon me. 4th and 26. Fred X.
Just want to thank my hands for being so great.
Freddie Mitchell calling himself Fred X was great. The best one though was he called himself the Sultan of the Slot. Loved it. By the way, I have just been told, this is my exclusive, that the password for that virtual meeting is Hockley. Capital H.
Capital H, yes. Nice.
Hockley is the way you get into that meeting.
All right, the football operations Twitter also posted this. The competition committee supports NFL officiating's further analysis of the idea to create an officiating advisor positioned somewhere other than the playing field with access to video and in full communication
What does that mean?
to on-field officials.
What is an advisor? I advise you to pick up that flag. I advise you to see the pass interference that the rest of the free world is seeing.
Something like
what are we
a Sky Judge.
advising?
It's something in the Sky Judge realm, don't
Hold
you
on,
think?
here we go. The Ravens and the Chargers add a booth umpire as an 8th game official. That's official. That's like an official. Add a senior technology advisor to the referee to assist the officiating crew. Senior technology advisor. Great name. Who came up with that? Who in the Ravens or Chargers came? You know what? Let's call it. It's called a senior technology advisor. And I say this with the ultimate of respect.
Mike, you want that job?
I love that name.
I say this. By the way, I'm going to get myself in so much trouble. I'm about to get myself in so much trouble. I'm going to do it.
Do it, Rich.
Mike, you can attest to this too.
Yes.
There isn't a single senior that can advise on technology that we know. Okay? The conversation that's had with seniors about technology, there is no advising coming from that end.
Nothing can be done.
Oh, I'm in trouble now.
That's funny. Well done.
What a great name for it.
By the way,
but in all honesty, I need to know, how does that work? Can they call a penalty? Can the person upstairs call the penalty? Because if that's the case, I don't like it. How crushing is it to an NFL fan? My team is getting off the field. We just play defense. We need the ball back in the worst way. Or my team needs to stay on the field. We got to stay on the field to win the game. Or we need to advance the ball down the field to get the points we need. First down, yes. Oh, wait.
Buzz.
Flag on the play. Not a buzz. Just in regular time right now. Flag on the play. Somebody made illegal contact where the quarterback wasn't even throwing the ball. It's away from the ball, across the field, thrown by a referee that's out of screen because the action was on the bottom part of your screen. You didn't even see it. All of a sudden, that yellow box lights up on your screen saying flag, and you're like, what's the flag? And now, because they're so great at it, I'm not just saying that because I'm on NBCSN. I said this all the time. Godelli, Esikoff, the Sunday Night Football crew always has the replay of what was the infraction. Oh, sorry, ticky-tack foul, top of the screen. You're like, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see the flag come in. Now, you don't even see the flag on the play. It's somebody upstairs. By the way, they can't throw anything on the field. What are they going to do? They're going to wave a flag out like it's the Indy 500? They wave a yellow flag from up there?
I don't know. They just buzz down.
No, they buzz down.
I'm
that's
sure.
the
No,
sky
they'll just, and they'll have to tell somebody in a television truck, light the yellow flag box up because there's a penalty and there's no flag on the field. And then then people go crazy because all of a sudden you see a referee just put a flag on the field saying, I've just received a buzz from upstairs. You'll come up with the verbiage. The senior technology advisor has told me the following. What does this button mean? All right, I'm going to drop that because
I can't hear
my
it.
mother's already
What?
calling me.
What?
My mother.
How do I change the voice?
Stop it.
My mother's
Hey, did you see this morning, guys? Ryan Fitzpatrick did a Zoom conference call down in Miami, and Armando Salguero.
Look at him.
Screen grabbed this.
I mean,
look at Fitzmagic.
Now,
I can't believe
let's break this down.
I say this word association. Okay, just picture association. I look at this and I think somebody is handing me a cough drop. Okay, right? Doesn't he look like the cough drop brothers?
Ricola guys?
Yeah, no, not Ricola guys. The brothers, the cough drop brothers.
Oh,
what are their names? I don't know. That's what they look like. They had the full
Smith Brothers.
Smith Brothers. That's what it looks like.
I couldn't think of it either, Rich.
Can you put that back up there, Don? It's just too good to take down. Look at that. What's longer, the beard or the hair on his head? It's magical. It's symmetrical. It's amazing. If not for the mustache, it would be like an hourglass. You could flip it over, and the hair would go from one part of the hourglass to the other. And then when the time's up, you flip it over. Amazing. And then I'm looking at this. If you took this and put it on an actual U.S. Treasury note, wouldn't it look like it belongs there?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it look like a founding father?
He looks
some
like,
sort
he
of
looks like
Henry
the
Harrison
10th
situation.
president of the United States.
That's right. It's not a first 10th, and it's not. This reeks of 19th president of the United States. Like right around then, I have no idea who I have no idea who that was. Yeah.
Rutherford B. Hayes.
Yes.
By the way,
it couldn't
have been better. He looks just like it. I mean, you just pulled 19 out of here.
I'm telling you.
Or James Garfield. One or the other.
What is Garfield?
Garfield.
Oh, it's close.
Garfield also has a gigantic beard.
What was he?
He was 20th.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I nailed it. Yeah, right around 1920. By the way, for Price is Right, closest without going over.
Right.
19.
Nailed it.
He also looks like he'd be guiding me to the summit of Mount Everest.
Or
Sherpa. Yeah, totally.
What's older, the look, or as you pointed out moments ago, is that an old Macintosh
like
computer?
A first edition iMac,
like a front load hard disk.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Like CD-ROM in the front of the computer, 2 little speakers. I had that my freshman year of college in 1998.
Glorious. Is that a referee shirt that's draped over his right shoulder, kind of like John Thompson towel of the Georgetown era, sort of? What is that? Or is that just part of the shirt?
Yeah, it might be a sports brand there, buddy. He also has the bronze helmet in the back, the blank brick background. He's a Harvard man. Where are the books?
I mean, it's what we need. It's really what we needed. Poll question and Coles. And Tom Brady has some television news, documentary news.
Oh, yeah.
Or so-called documentary. That's coming up next. All right. That moment, you look down at your phone and see if there's a text from your mother.
Oh, she's calling.
Nope,
My
there's
mother's
not.
I'm gonna get,
your mom.
She's gonna yell.
Oh
yeah. You went. We went. Rich went there.
Senior technology. Senior technology advisor. What does that mean?
Names.
Who's the junior technology advisor? The person who plugs it in?
The guy who sets it up.
Who's
for
the
junior?
Who's the junior technology advisor?
Sets it up.
The assistant to the senior technology advisor is what Costanza would be.
That's the assistant. Exactly.
The assistant to the senior technology advisor to the referee. That's a very large business card. Whoever in the Ravens or Chargers organization came up with that, I salute you. What a great name. So we're going to put a person assisting the referee, the officiating crew. We'll put a person there. What do we call him? I don't know.
Senior referee.
By the way,
we can't call him an official because they're not an official.
Nope. Senior booth
What do we call it?
But is that person just
guy.
texting Pereira during the game to find out what he should do?
Yeah, what do I do?
What do I do?
Hey, what's
What
the
do I do?
ruling on this?
We got to get Mike on.
I love big names like that. You know that, Rich. Like, I love that.
Password.
Like a 4-title name.
I love 4-title.
Well, I mean, you want to know, you should call yourself the audio executive.
Exactly. Like senior audio engineer.
Senior
That's
technology advisor.
I love those. You go 3 names.
What do they have to wear? Do they have to wear like a yellow sort of thing, like they're on the Genius Bar? Is that Genius Bar? It's a Genius Bar person.
Like a red?
Call the Genius Bar person.
Well, red is the guy who walks on the field
I'm
during
a senior
commercial breaks.
technology advisor. How does this
The
work?
Sky Judge had to wear a suit and tie. Like that was
For the AF? For the
AF.
Booted?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was that 100. That was they wore like full.
Wow.
Well, because they're going to be on camera.
They
were on camera.
They were on camera, obviously, but still. Maybe you don't know. This guy could go on camera.
Senior technology advisor.
He's technology. He puts a camera in front of himself.
I don't know how this works. How does this work?
What's the lanyard situation for the senior technology?
Oh, they get full access.
Full access. He can walk on the field pregame.
You got to plug stuff in.
Triple VIP.
No, he's the assistant's plugging that stuff in. He's not. He walks in there.
He's senior.
He's senior.
He's senior.
He doesn't.
He's
touch that.
highfalutin.
He
I
doesn't
don't touch that stuff.
No.
I'm the senior technology
You
advisor.
hand him the headset he puts on.
I'm the senior technology advisor. Who are you? Who do you think you are?
The junior.
You know what? I used to be a junior technology advisor. I used to plug things in. I used to have jacks. I used to have all sorts of things.
I don't plug things in no more.
I don't plug things anymore. Go get your plug box.
I'm done.
All comes back to good
Go get your plug box. You've been away a long time. I don't plug things in no more. I'm the senior technology advisor to the referee.
Don't have that guy come back in the booth.
Don't let him leave. Keep him here.
Keep him here.
Keep him here.
Keep him here. Oh, God, I'm done.
Poor Billy Bats.
Oh, rest in peace.
Podcast One has our podcast every single day, all 3 hours on demand. Listen and subscribe, please. We always like when you subscribe, certainly on our YouTube page as well. Podcast1.com/Rich Eisen to listen to us on demand. We just had a funny little riff in our NBCSN commercial break. Can you grab that and pop that on? That was great. Because, again, the senior technology advisor, we can't get enough of that because we just started wondering that must mean there has to be a junior technology advisor. And that's the person who plugs everything in, right?
Yeah. The senior technology
Because doesn't touch a plug. They don't touch a plug. They don't touch a jack. They don't touch anything. They
No.
want everything set up so they can advise on technology to the referee. Be focused in the Ravens-Chargers plan. Whoever came up with that idea, great. Love it. This one I'm not so sold on. The 4th and 15 from your own 25. Could you imagine your 14-yard pass comes up just short and you have to cough the ball up on your own 39-yard line and that costs you considerably? I imagine whoever's doing this is behind.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that you can
Although Doug Peterson is the first one who will, if you had to guess, the first one who will do this to steal a possession will be Doug Peterson of the Eagles. He will absolutely figure out a 4th and 15 play that's going to work to make sure he can go up 9, and then it won't work, and Philadelphia will go crazy.
Andy Reid, because 4th and 15 means nothing to Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. Mahomes will just run for it and then lateral to somebody for the final 2 yards.
Flick it left head. Yeah.
We'll get to our poll question in a second, but let's go to the phone lines. A lot of people are waiting for quite some time. Let's go to our friend Steve in Virginia. It's been a while. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Rich. Thanks a lot for taking the call.
Thanks for making
you guys all the time. And
Thank you.
Glad you guys found a new home on NBCSN here.
We're pleased to be on it. Pleased to be on with our
awesome.
friends.
So
we're proud as a peacock, to be honest.
That's right.
Nice.
Hey, so
Thank
I
you.
usually call in to talk about the Browns, and this question is right up your alley because I know you're a University of Michigan guy.
Okay.
What do you think of their late draft pick of Donovan Peoples-Jones?
I have no idea why he was available so deep in the draft, man. He was dynamite.
Yeah.
He's on he can play special teams. He can do everything. And he's as the kids say, a dog. He will get in your face a little bit sometimes to the detriment.
Was he not used properly, or was Michigan's offense not really geared toward getting him a lot of stats?
You know what?
I heard he maybe underachieved. Or
I'm going to shoot you straight. I'll shoot you straight, and it's tough to say this because the quarterback just wasn't up to snuff.
Gotcha.
Consistently enough. Shea Patterson made plays. There were too many left on the field. If I had to blame it on anything on offense, you have to talk about it. And I hope nothing but the best as Patterson is now in the care of Andy Reid. I hope he kills it. I hope he's got a great career. But if I had to blame anything about the offense, that's what I'd say.
Quick last question.
Yes.
Does he have the talent to be good in the NFL? And in your eyes, who's the best Michigan receiver ever? And can he catch him in stats?
Okay. Thank you for the call. Best Michigan receiver ever is Anthony Carter. Is there a next question? Anthony Carter, who had a great career in the NFL and a great career at the University of Michigan. Braylon Edwards had some fine years in the NFL.
I thought you were going to say Braylon.
No, but Anthony Carter, that's why they hand number one to other people at Michigan, including Braylon, I might add. Oh, my God. In Boynton Beach, Florida. He's calling his Foots his father, but this is none other than Perry Beckerman. You there, Perry?
I'm here.
What's up? This is by the way, this is the dad of one of my best friends from grade school.
All right.
What's up, Perry? How you been?
I've been well. How are you doing? How's your family?
You sound great. How's it? We're great. Thank you. How's everybody with you?
Everyone's good.
Okay.
Got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I was watching Scott Boras and talking about the baseball with no fans in the stands.
Yes.
Yankee Stadium, top of the ninth inning.
Yes.
Where's the applause? Where's the rhythmic applause for the
strikeout?
For the strikeout.
That's for the strikeout, and then of course the PC Richard whistle for the actual strikeout when it's completed. I don't know, Perry, and that's going to be an issue. That's going to be I don't. There it is, Perry. I don't know, man, and that's an interesting question about what's going to happen because the NFL. I mean, the difference between winning and losing in Seattle, we all know how important that is, winning and losing in Kansas City. Oh, thank you, Mike.
That's my text tone, Rich.
Is that really?
It is really his
Oh, my God.
Can vouch for that.
See, there's Yankee fans everywhere, Perry. I don't know. But that's a great question, and that, by the way, is a competition question. It really is, and you're going to have to figure that sort of thing out. The idea that some of my poker buddies came up with is an app that fans can, on an app, press a button to make it louder in a stadium for their team. Would you download? Would you download that app, Perry?
Definitely. Especially for the Yankees.
I love it. You take care of yourself. Say hi to Andrea and the rest of the family, okay?
Will do.
You got it. There you go. Grew up around the corner from Perry. Right there. Blast from my own personal past. Let's take one more phone call before we get to our poll question right here. James in Kansas. What's up, James?
Hey, Rich. First time, long time.
Attaboy.
I have a perfect idea for the senior tech advisor.
Okay.
So you have a box somewhere in the stadium.
Yes.
And it's like the banker on Deal or No Deal. So the referee runs out or he gets buzzed down and everybody has to turn to see what the quote-unquote call is going to be.
So the banker is, but we have a referee. We already have a banker. It's called a head ref.
Well, but this is like Howie Mandel to the banker. They got, this is a new call. This is something that they got to change. So he's kind of the bad guy in this whole thing, like the banker was.
Okay. James, I got to tell you, and I appreciate you calling in, and don't lose our number. I'll have to say no deal to that, to use this phrase.
Understood.
Understand. Open the case. Very good. Thank you for the call. By the way, Howie Mandel, a guest on next Tuesday's edition of The Rich Eisen Show. We can throw that his way along with America's Got Talent and also how he was way ahead of the curve.
Way ahead.
On the old fist pounds.
Fist bumps and germs.
But I think that was a great Fifth Dimension song. Tom Brady's doing what, Chris?
Okay, so this is really cool. So Tom Brady.
This was, by the way, part of your news segment. If we didn't go down a wormhole based on Ryan Fitzpatrick's hair and beard situation.
So Tom Brady tweeted out a cool promo video today. He is going to have a docuseries coming to ESPN in 2021.
Yes.
It is the journey of each of his 9 Super Bowl appearances with the Patriots. It's called The Man in the Arena, Tom Brady. Look back at his perspective from the 6 championships and the 3 losses he was a part of. Pretty awesome.
I can't wait for this.
Produced by ESPN and Tom Brady's production company, along with Gotham Chopra's Religion of Sports.
Oh, so Gotham, I'm sure, is the one who's like, let's go with the Teddy Roosevelt quote right there. But unless that's Tom's Michigan education coming through right there. Love it. Hey, man.
Bring it on.
I
want it.
So he's going to be the Jordan of this thing, where he'll talk about everything, and we'll get everybody else sitting down?
Looks like it.
Kraft. We'll get Belichick.
I would imagine everyone who's been involved in all 9 Super Bowls
We'll get it all?
will be.
So this is the last dance.
We'll see.
Will he hit
Again, I don't know if it's the last dance, so to speak. It's more looking at, what it took to get to each 9 of these Super Bowls. Of course, Pats didn't make the Super Bowl last year.
Let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about here.
I doubt we'll get into that.
Dude, how was Deflategate not crucial in his preparation for that Super Bowl?
Oh, Deflategate. I thought you mentioned I thought you meant the breakup.
No. If he's talking about the 9 Super Bowls,
well, Deflategate was
the week and a half between the AFC Championship game and him. By the way, throwing how many touchdowns did he throw in that game against Seattle? I think it was 4. I think he set a record for throwing to 2 different touchdowns to different receivers. He had an incredible game.
Yeah.
And the conversation all week is whose footballs are we going to use? What are they going to look at? All that craziness.
Yep.
We got to hit on that. And if he wants to set records straight in the same way Jordan does, let's go. Right?
Yeah, Brady had 4 touchdowns in Super Bowl 49. He was awesome.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he was great.
He had a ton of yards, too.
Yeah, 328, 4 Super Bowl, 4 touchdowns. So this is going to be awesome. 2021, coming next year.
I'm ready.
All 9. They're going to bang out 9 in oof. Okay. Very good. Oh, gosh. Let me take this call before getting to the poll question update. Rob in New Jersey, you want to set the record straight? Go for it, Rob.
Hey, Rich. How you doing? Yeah, I just wanted to say about Michigan wide receivers. I thought Desmond Howard was considered a wide receiver.
Yes, he is.
And he was one of the great college players of all time.
I agree. It's one of those things when you're talking on live television off the top of your head and you're trying to, call upon things, you're going to miss somebody. Thank you I appreciate you helping set the record straight. Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl MVP. I was looking for El Zuro for a second, our old long-time researcher. How many people did that? How many Heisman Trophy winners won the MVP of the Super Bowl? That could be many of those.
Got to be a small list. Roger Staubach comes to mind real quick.
There you go. Not many of those. I won a Heisman Trophy. I am a Super Bowl MVP. That's a hell of a Venn diagram right there.
Marcus Allen, Jim Plunkett, Roger Staubach.
There you go.
Wow.
Desmond Howard. That's your list.
That's your list. By the way, first of all, the fact that you knew one off the top of your head and then you Googled it that fast is very impressive.
Thank you.
Especially when you were set up to give us a poll question update. And I know sometimes you change in screens every now and then. It can be
I got a lot going on. Sometimes my computer will freeze.
I know that.
We're all good.
But it all worked out.
We're all good.
What's our poll question update over there, Christopher?
In honor of Mr. T's 68th birthday, didn't put him on the list, but this was inspired by him and his supervillain Clubber Lang from Rocky III. Who's the best sports movie villain? Went Ivan Drago, Rocky IV, Big Ern McCracken from Kingpin, Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, and Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid. Shooter McGavin is running away with this. Also helped by the fact that the Shooter McGavin Twitter account retweeted this. He's at 60%.
That's not fair.
Ivan Drago, 24%. Big Ern, 10%. Should be higher. Johnny Lawrence, 6%.
So are you telling me that in this crazy-ass world of Twitter, there isn't a Twitter account where somebody's pretending to be Drago, Big Ern McCracken, or Johnny Lawrence?
Like, at Drago's got to exist.
Yeah,
right?
Let's see.
Like,
well, actually, it would be at I Will Break You.
Nice.
That's what it would be. That would be the
There
at,
are some Big Ern parody accounts, but none of them have like 300,000 followers like the Shooter McGavin one.
One of at least my favorite moments we've had on our show in the last 5+ years, and check it out on our YouTube feed, was when we had Dolph Lundgren in studio and we had him try and recall off the top of his head the 10 speaking lines he had in the film. 7 speaking lines he had in the film? 7 speaking lines he had in his film. And he couldn't do it off the top of his head.
I thought he did do it.
Eventually he did. It took him a while to work through it. You know, like how contestants on Millionaire have to work their way through their answer. Right. He had to work his way through it. Pardon me. He had 9 speaking lines. Let's go to Danny in Phoenix. Danny, you're on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, sir?
Hey, Rich. How's it going?
Hanging in there. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, your show is great.
Thank you.
I called in yesterday, but I wanted to give you a hard time that you never saw Point Break and Roadhouse. I mean, they got some of the best quotes, movie lines, and whatnot, like, Utah, give me 2. But also, as a diehard Redskins fan, you're crazy about Dak Prescott's contract. There's no way that guy's worth $40 million. The thing that really hurts him, too, is Taysom Hill, who is way overrated, gets $16 million guaranteed, so that doesn't help the Cowboys at all. But I just want to say Washington's going to have a much improved year, and they're going to have a top 5 defense, and they're going to be a lot better.
Okay. Appreciate the call, Danny. Thank you for your point. I think I speak for all Cowboys fans when I say, TJ Jefferson, you are the resident Cowboy fan here. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so big of a deal, but no. 10 being you could just flash your fingers up there.
There he is.
10 being the amount that you don't want to hear from a Washington Redskins fan telling you about your team or quarterback situation.
You said what was the most?
10 would be the most.
That would be a 20.
There you go. Can you imagine that? I love it. Sports fans, they're just so filled with confidence and hubris. He is worth the money because this is the market and this is what guys like him get paid right now. And he has shown that he can do the job better than most. He has. In big spots, and last year was a
big spots, one playoff win.
No. In big spots, he has done it. It's just last year, it was one big flaming pile of poop. A big flaming pile of poop last year. Sometimes he couldn't get it done. Other times he could. And that's what a mediocre quarterback does. And now he's coming in asking for all this money. And the answer is he can because he has the leverage to do so.
Get your damn act together.
Yes, sir.
By big spots, you mean AT&T Stadium?
No, and your answer, hey, look,
I'm kidding.
And your answer could be he hasn't done it enough. That's true. So then your response is, let's go to Andy Dalton. Or your response is, let's go draft somebody in the 2021 draft and start again because we're not blowing up our salary cap. And not a single owner or general manager in this league, certainly not the only owner / general manager in this league, not a single one has taken that approach yet. And I don't think we'll ever see it because that's what we are hurtling towards, where either you pay everybody that does all this or see you later. And I'm not talking about not giving Jameis the contract. I'm not talking about not giving Mitchell Trubisky his 5th-year option. I'm talking about somebody that is a winner but hasn't won it all yet and hasn't won all that much in the playoffs yet and would command from other teams on the market the amount of money you're not willing to pay him and you don't want to bust your cap for. We have yet to see a team say, moving on. Haven't seen that yet. And I don't think we will. Okay, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. The hilarious Rob Riggle of ABC's Holey Moley is next. That's how you have to say the name of the show, right?
Holey Moley.
Like Jim Brockmeyer.
Absolutely.
Holey Moley.
The trailers for this show are insane.
I mean, he's a perfect guy for this role.
It's perfect. It's going to be great.
Perfect guy.
Like your kids getting excited for the Masked Singer. That's me for Holey Moley tonight.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you locked in on Holey Moley tonight?
I'm locked in on Holey Moley tonight.
Look at Tess. Tess in the ABC Sports jacket.
Perfectly coiffed beard.
It is perfectly coiffed.
It really is.
You want to sneak in another phone call here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All righty.
Go to Mike and Indy.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
All right. Mike and Indy, what's going on?
Hi, Rich. How are you?
What's up, brother?
Not much. So we have a golf tournament coming up. Little match against Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson.
That's correct, sir.
Which is very compelling. But I would like to see his brother Eli playing, considering that Brady would have had 8 Super Bowls if it wasn't for Eli. And some lucky catches, too.
It's interesting. A guy from Indianapolis would say you'd rather see Eli than Peyton. Mike,
well,
that's an interesting
you
choice
know
right
what?
there.
I'm still a Tom Brady fan, believe it or not. I mean,
Okay.
great is great.
Why not? Great is great. Great is great. Do you want to handle the response to Mike, Chris? He says that Eli is the reason why Tom doesn't have 2 more rings.
Well, I would say the guys in stripes.
There's
are,
holding penalty.
Big reason for that.
There we
Asante
go.
Samuel
the old
is
saw. The old saw.
There's a big
the
reason
holding
there.
penalty and Asante Samuel.
Wes Welker, I think you can throw
Adam
in there as
Vinatieri
well.
2 times. You see, people forget it. Can go
Mike,
both ways.
see, Mike, what you opened up? That's
The
Pandora's box.
helmet catch.
The helmet catch. Yep.
I mean, Rodney Harrison couldn't knock the ball away from a guy who never played again after that. I mean, it's fine.
It's
Got it.
unbelievable.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thank you for
Thanks,
the call.
Rich.
You got it.
I am excited for that golf match on Sunday, too. That is going to be very fun.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's
I
gonna
agree.
be fun.
Like, Mike's up. I want trash talk. I want side bets. I want it all. It looks...
Side bets.
Side bets.
Okay. I like
Side
it.
bets.
Very good.
I like side bets.
Back in a second with Rob Riggle. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Rob Riggle will be calling us in a matter of moments here to discuss Holey Moley, everybody, Season 2 on ABC. In the meantime, let's go to Dale in Orlando. What's up, Dale?
Hey, Rich. Something like cosmic has happened. Last night, I was watching 12 Strong, and I thought to myself, I promise you I did, Rich has had Rob Riggle on before. I wonder if he's talked to him about Rob Riggle's participation in that operation. And, well, anyway, I wanted to say Rob Riggle's as funny as anybody I ever see in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And also thank him for his service.
I will do that. He's going to be calling in a matter of moments, and I appreciate you saying that. 23 years of service as a U.S. Marine Corps Reserve officer.
And give him in the face.
Very good. Thank you. It's a very strong call right there.
One of the more memorable lines from The Hangover.
In the face.
In the face. That was that scene.
He was great in The Hangover.
I mean,
Yeah, that
so
scene.
funny.
Was that his first big?
Yeah, I think, because I didn't really
Well,
know
obviously,
who he was.
The Daily Show. The Daily Show.
That
Daily
was where
Show,
I kind of knew
yep.
him. Yeah.
Step Brothers
Step
was a
Brothers,
year
too.
before.
Yeah, it was the Catalina wine mix.
But that scene in the
Okay.
in the police station with them, he's just.
So there's no contest in our poll question today, huh?
Nah, the Shooter McGavin kind of blows everybody out for best sports movie villain. 60% today.
Okay. I don't think it's still a sports movie.
What is it then?
It's a comedy.
A comedy with what? Golf as the background, or?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or Sandler's the background. You know?
But without the golf, there's no movie.
I understand that.
Major League's the same way, though.
No, Major League's a sports movie. Bull Durham's a sports movie. I don't consider that a sports movie. Like, hey, you want to watch a sports movie? That's not it. It's a Sandler movie. Right? And again, Big Earn McCracken. That's a comedy. Kingpin is not a sports movie.
It's totally not. No.
Kingpin is not a sports movie, but I will never reject any idea in which the answer is, how would you like to include Bigger and McCracken
the title
and his
is
big old
Pin,
comb over?
which is bowling. And he gets Munson out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
putting it that way, Caddy and Shaq are both in a golf course.
Nice.
I like Caddyshack, I mean, golf is the background for Caddyshack, too.
Yeah.
But it's not a sports movie. It's not like Judge Smales is a big villain. Because if that's the case,
Judge Smales
is a villain.
would have been a good villain, too.
But he is the villain.
He is. The Gopher is not the villain.
Judge Smales.
Rob Riggle's on the Rich Eisen Show. Holey Moley Season 2 tonight on ABC. Returns at 9 Eastern Time. And I got to be honest with you, the promotional photograph of his mouth being wide open, filled with golf balls as if it's a windmill on a miniature golf course, will haunt me for my final days. Good to see you, Rob Riggle. How are you, Robert?
Hello, sir. I'm glad you saw that photo, and
yes.
I'm glad that I don't want to say I'm glad that it disturbs you or haunts your dreams.
Yes.
But I hope you get used to it, because I'm using it as my Christmas card.
Hey.
And
nice.
I'm using it. I'm kind of using it all the time now on business cards.
It is.
T-shirts.
I like it. Did you pose for this, Rob, or was this just an artist's rendering of what they considered you to be? Rob, did you sit for that?
Sadly to say, I did pose for it. Now, they obviously did some artistic work by filling my mouth with tens of thousands of golf balls, because I can't do that in real life.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Was that moment, that photograph, the moment that Tyreek Hill caught that big pass in the Super Bowl to give the Chiefs new life, Rob? Was that with that for some?
Yes, with the I believe it was a 13-step drop by Mahomes. It could have been 14, but I think I counted 13 because I've only watched the clip 10,000 times.
Can you believe your Chiefs won the Super Bowl still? I mean, that's insane.
I tell you what,
yes,
and I mean this sincerely, had the Chiefs not won the Super Bowl, this would be the worst year in recorded history. So the fact that they did win is the only thing that's keeping me on this side of the ledge. Thank goodness.
I mean, it still is amazing that they actually pulled that one off.
It was so great. I got to tell you, I really feel it in my bones, and I'm not weird. Maybe I am a little weird, but I'm not like superstitious too much. But when the Patriots lost the last game of the year to the Dolphins, and we won like we were supposed to against the Chargers, and all these things kind of happened, and we ended up not having to play the wild card game. We got the divisional game. And then, we got down 24 points in the divisional game and came back. And then we came back again in the AFC Championship. It just felt like destiny. It just did. It felt like this thing was bigger than all of us and it was going to happen. Then we got to the Super Bowl and things are going well. They're not going terrible, but we get down in the second half. And with about 5 minutes left, or maybe 7 minutes, I don't know what it was, but Mahomes throws that interception. That was the only time, and I mean it, the only time where I thought maybe it's not going to happen. Every other moment, I thought we were going to do it. I really did. In my bones, I believed it. And then, of course, we went on that run.
And the amazing thing about it, Rob, the amazing thing about it is that this happened even with, and this is amazing, your quarterback's kneecap was on the side of his leg at one point a few weeks before all this. I mean, the fact that wasn't the end and that what we just all described still happened anyway might be the most miraculous thing of all of them.
I couldn't agree more. And our backup, Matt Moore, he came in. We had to play for 2 games, and he won one of them. And that one win was what kept us from having to wild card it. So, everything mattered. Everything counted. Everything came together. And it was truly, I still pinch myself because I waited my whole lifetime for this to happen, and it did. It finally did.
And then we got a chance, I don't know if you got a chance to see Rob Riggle here on the Rich Eisen Show, got a chance to see behind the curtain the wizard himself, Andy Reid, in his draft room. I don't know if you got to see the photograph of him sitting in his basement, in his personal basement, with a makeshift desk next to what looks to be a used Stairmaster. It just shows you how technically the momentum is still going, Rob.
I hope so. But comedically speaking, it would be better if the price tag was still hanging off. That would be pretty great.
Because it could still be returned, is what you're saying. It could still be returned. You could still send it back, and then he's got the Hawaiian shirt with the Kansas City tumbler on draft night. I mean, he's still got it working, man. He's still got the flow. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Holey Moley, Season 2. Chris Brockman, who you know very well because you work on a pod and has worked for many years with his significant other, Sarah Tiana. He is so hard up for gambling because there's no live sports. He wants to gamble on tonight's season premiere of Season 2, Rob. Not to ask for anything because I don't want to tilt this in any illegal direction. But what can you tell us about tonight,
I can say that competitive, hot sports action is back, baby. And if you're jonesing to lay a couple bucks down, tonight's the night.
Thank you, Rob.
It is. It's going to be. You want to talk about high stakes putt action?
I do want to talk about that, Rob. I do actually want to talk about that.
You're in luck, my friend. You're in luck because it's coming like thunder tonight. I honestly, we shoot when we shot the thing. We shoot from like 7 at night till 7 in the morning. It's all night. So I'm in a daze half the time. So I don't even remember. Until I watch it, I won't remember what we did. So I'm of no help. Yes. I got no inside scoop for you. But it is. We did take everything up a notch for sure this year. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be faster. You're going to see people get launched sometimes. It's it's a ball. There's no two ways about it. It's just a lot of fun.
And it's got to be, to wear that jacket that, we grew up watching Cosell wearing,
sure.
Al Michaels with the thrill of victory, agony of defeat. There you are, Rob Riggle, in that.
The wide world of sports.
Yes.
I remember so specifically on Saturdays sitting down and watching that intro, the agony of defeat.
Yes.
Da-da-da-da-da. And that guy wiping out off the downhill jump. And,
yes.
And I remember watching it, and then, of course, there they would come, Jim McKay and all those guys in there.
That's right.
And I don't even know what the sport was. This week it's curling. Next week it's bobsledding. The other week it's the Harlem Globetrotters. It didn't matter. Like, it was the wide world of sports, and those gold jackets have such a rich tradition and history that I'm sure Howard Cosell is rolling over in his grave because he's like, Rob Riggle, who?
No.
Is wearing what?
That guy Riggle shouldn't even put that on. Who does he think he is? No, actually, we had Al Michaels the other day. I asked him the wildest event he covered for Wide World of Sports. He said Germany motorcycles on ice. And he did. And by the way, that sounds like a Mad Lib, but that actually happened, and Al covered that. So Holey Moley's in good company, is essentially what I'm saying.
Good.
That's what I'm saying.
And I wonder if the German motorcycles on ice is still happening because I'd like to get in on that.
You know what? Chris Brockman
I'm
would bet
betting on that too. Yeah, don't worry.
Gunther on the pocket rocket. He's got it.
In the third race tonight, I'm down.
That's right. He's in. Hey, Rob, thanks for calling in. It's always great catching up with you.
So great to talk to you as always, man. Thanks for having me.
You're the man. That's Rob
See you,
Riggle.
buddy.
At Rob Riggle on Twitter and Instagram. I follow him on both. You should too. Season 2 of Holey Moley premieres tonight, 9 Eastern on ABC. And hey, when you're on an overnight shoot and it's 4 in the morning, I've done it. I did that on The Great Escape. We would shoot overnight on The Great Escape on TNT. My one and done experience being a reality competition host where I was trying to be mysterious in my bomber jackets and all that stuff. It was a fun show.
Fun show.
But it's 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. You're overnight. You have no idea. You know what I could have used at the time? A shot of Tessitor. A little shot of Tessitor. By the way,
Shot of Tessitor is a good name.
That's pretty good.
That's a great name.
Good fantasy name. I could have used a shot of Tessitor.
Or was that like a Grateful Dead song?
A shot of Tessitor?
A little shot of Tessitor?
That was Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd.
Ah, yes.
Shot of testosterone.
So actually, and then they decided, let's just go with momentary lapse of reason.
Exactly.
For our
change the album.
For our album. Maybe that's what we'll do. What a show.
I mean, my cheeks hurt.
I mean, yeah.
What a show.
So
It
much
all comes out.
laughing
I don't know what my foot made me laugh harder today was the senior technology advisor concept that the NFL is positing through their franchises in Baltimore and one of them in Los Angeles, Chargers and Ravens, saying, let's add something called a senior technology advisor to the referee to assist the officiating crew. I don't know if there's a junior technology advisor or the senior to the assistant to the senior technology advisor to the referee. Which one would be the Costanza role most? I don't know if it's that or the Ryan Fitzpatrick photograph. I mean,
it's glorious, man.
Is there any product, or you just wake up that way? Because I am jealous as a man who is follically challenged and attempting to grow a beard. This just means, It is exactly like if you're like, draw me up a quarterback who will not tank, refuses to tank, the anti-tank quarterback who does not see a window that he doesn't think he can needle thread, who does not look at the coverage where it says, I don't go there, but I'm going there. Draw me up that quarterback.
That's what he looks like.
Boom. Boom. God bless you, Ryan Fitzpatrick. God bless you. Oh, we will see you on Friday's edition of the Rich Eisen Show. Don't you dare miss that one. Yeah, we'll see this latest quarterback in hair history.